Chapter 693. Shifei went to meet someone. The other party was surprised to see him with a girl, and Shixing knew this person. It was the man she had asked to carve something for. This man was good-looking, but his temperament was a little gloomy, and his clothes were a little strange. He didn't look handsome at all. Only weirdness remained. Do you know each other? Shifei seemed to notice that Shixing and the man were looking at each other unnaturally, and asked aloud. The man clutched his chest and pointed to Shixing. She's the one I told you to carve that thing for. I didn't sleep for 3 days and 3 nights. Shifei suddenly remembered the picture he sent him, but at that time, it was only a semi-finished product, not as exquisite as what he saw in the watch just now. And it wasn't integrated with the watch, so he didn't remember for a while. You make it sound like I didn't pay. Shixing rolled his eyes. The man choked, retracted his hand, coughed, sat up straight, and winked at Shifei. The gist of it was, why are you messing around with her? This woman doesn't look like a good person. Shifei ignored his winks and introduced the other party's name to Shixing. Then he asked directly, when are you going back? I haven't had enough fun yet. The other party immediately deflated. I can't hold on for long this time. You know your mother's temper. Cousin, we're all brothers. Why are you in such a hurry? Shixuo looked at Shifei resentfully. My mother listens to you. Tell my mother not to mess with me. I'm only 22, okay? This is the time to create miracles. How can I be delayed by a woman? When your father was your age, you could already run around, Shifei said calmly. Shixuo's mouth twitched. You believe that? Whether others believed it or not, he didn't believe it. According to his birth date in the household register, his father was clearly almost 30 years old, but his mother said that his father was in his early 20s. He was born then. How many years had he been eaten? I don't care. Anyway, if you don't help me, I'll. Shixuo hesitated for a long time before he realized that there was nothing he could do to threaten him. In the end, he laid back down on the ground. Why did I have to meet a bunch of troublesome relatives like you? In the end, Shixuo left angrily. After he left, Shixing asked, he called you cousin. Why did he follow your surname? His father married into the family. Shifei did not hide the truth. Marrying into her family. A man who could marry into her family was true love. Shifei sent Shixing home. When he returned to the hotel, Shixuo was already waiting for him inside. Cousin, why is that woman with you? As soon as he entered, Shixuo began to interrogate him. I don't think that woman is anything good. You have to keep your eyes open. Not just anyone can enter our house. Do you know her well? Shifei asked. Shixuo shook his head. Only twice. If that's the case, how do you know she's not a good person? In any case, it's not anything good. Shixuo sat down on the sofa. You can play around, but if you really want to be with her, let alone me, who in our family would agree. They can't wait for you to never marry. Shifei, is this something you should say? Play around? This idea had never crossed his mind. Either they wouldn't be together, or they would always be together. Shifei took off his coat and rolled up his sleeves, revealing the watch on his wrist. Shixuo's eyes were sharp and he still recognized his own things. He grabbed Shifei's hand and pulled it to his eyes. Wasn't this carved by him? Why did it appear here in such a strange way? Could this thing be used as a watch? How did he make it? She gave it to me. Shifei pulled his hand back and rolled up his sleeves. If you can help her carve it, it means that you are satisfied with the price she offered. Shixuo opened his mouth. Forget it, I don't care. He couldn't even protect himself. The Shi family was a very strange family. Girls were more popular than boys, but girls in the Shi family were always very rare. In the previous generation, his mother was the only girl. His mother could get whatever she wanted in the Shi family. When it came to him and Shifei, they lived an inhumane life. Shifei was fine. After all, he was the heir, but he was miserable. He was always forced by his mother to marry a wife, and then have a daughter. Brother Xing my ass. He was already so miserable with one woman. If he had a daughter, how could he live? As for the group of people who couldn't wait for Shifei to not marry, It was all because they felt that the coquettish B** cheese outside were not worthy of their son. They had to be self-produced, but unfortunately, there were no self-produced ones. If there were no self-produced ones, then don't marry them. A group of lunatics, they didn't want to go back at all. Shisheng found that there had been a lot of turbulence in the Qinglong sect recently. She was a little confused. She had just started to crack down on illegal activities, so why did she start to lose control? But this didn't stop Shisheng from cracking down on illegal activities. The Qinglong sect, which was already quite turbulent, was even more besieged after Shisheng intervened. Leng Yan was so busy that he didn't even have time to check on Ning Su. Ling Yi took the opportunity to take Ning Su out of the mansion. When Leng Yan found out, the two had already run away. Shisheng saw Leng Yan's angry look from the monitor, and only found it funny. People only knew how to maintain their nobility and elegance when they were proud of themselves. Therefore, in order to maintain their nobility and elegance, they had to be calm and have the bearing to control the situation. The host was acting cool again. Damn it, when you were so angry that you pulled out your sword. Where was your nobility and elegance? Only lunatics. As long as the male lead was killed, the original host's wish would be fulfilled. Shisheng packed up and went out. As soon as he took out his phone, he saw Shifei's car slowly stop in front of him. Shifei drove the car himself. He smiled gently at Shisheng. The smile was very short. Shisheng had been staring at him the whole time, so he caught it. Shisheng put the phone back, opened the car door, and quickly kissed Shifei's face. Shifei was stunned. The tips of his ears quickly turned red. He leaned back, distanced himself from Shisheng and coughed. What do you want to do with the Green Dragon clan? Shisheng was surprised. You did it. She had guessed before, but denied it. After all, the Black Clan's power was not in the country. If Shifei really wanted to do it, he would have to transfer people from abroad. These arrangements would take time. Calculating the time, that Shifei was still at odds with her. How could he deal with the Green Dragon clan? So when this thought flashed through her mind, she denied it. She didn't expect it. She also had times when she was tricked. My words are too good. Shifei's breathing was a little rapid. Shisheng was still very close to him. He could even hear her heartbeat. Her glossy lips tempted him to taste them. He only needed to lean over slightly to kiss her. Shifei's face was tense, and he replied calmly, Leng Yan is too ambitious. Hahaha, come on, kiss me. I beg for votes. I beg for votes. Chapter 694. As the male lead, Leng Yan was naturally ambitious. Otherwise, he wouldn't have tried so hard to get what Leng Yaotian left behind. But now he was almost forced into a desperate situation. He only had two choices, give up the Azure Dragon Gate and leave with his confidants. Otherwise, he would fight with force and see who would have the last laugh. The Azure Dragon Gate was secretly suppressed by Shifei and dealt with a lot of them. It was almost impossible to fight with force. So Leng Yan decided to run away with his people. Shisheng got the news from the surveillance. As for where Shifei got it from, it was unknown. Let's go to school first, Shisheng suddenly said. Shifei looked at Shisheng with a little doubt. Why go to school at this time? Just in case. What if the male lead wanted to do something before he left? After all, he had seen Su Shanshan. If it were her, she would also start with the people around him if she couldn't beat him. This was human nature. Shifei naturally knew who Shisheng had around him. He turned the car around and went to Su Shanshan's school. It was the end of class, so Shisheng easily brought Su Shanshan out. As soon as Shisheng and Su Shanshan walked out of the school, there was a violent explosion behind them. Su Shanshan screamed in fright. Shisheng picked her up and ran quickly to Shifei's car. After getting in the car, Shifei immediately drove away from the school. Su Shanshan was a little stunned. Her ears were full of buzzing sounds. It took a while for her to recover. Sister, what was that sound? Explosion. What explosion? Our school? Su Shanshan's face turned pale. How could the school explode? It was an explosion. Shisheng rubbed Su Shanshan's head. Go back and watch the news yourself. Su Shanshan looked at Shisheng in confusion. Why did she feel like her sister knew everything? Why did she come to pick her up when the school exploded? She didn't have time to see where the explosion was, so when Su Shanshan saw the news, she was so scared that she had nightmares for several nights. The car drove in the direction of the airport. Su Shanshan paused for a while before she realized there was another person in the car. She looked at Shifei a few times. When a little girl looked at a man, she could only judge him based on whether he was good-looking or not. So in Su Shanshan's eyes, Shifei was like a star on TV, so handsome. She carefully tugged at Shisheng's sleeve. Is this the person my sister likes? Shisheng nodded slightly. Su Shanshan found it difficult to communicate with her eyes. She took out her phone and typed, then handed it to Shisheng. You're very compatible with big sister. Shisheng also picked up her phone and slowly typed on it. I'm so beautiful, so of course I have to find a handsome man. He has to be good-looking before I can bring him out to meet people. Su Shanshan's mouth twitched. His sister was hopelessly narcissistic. Su Shanshan was a very cute girl, but Shifei didn't like her very much. Seeing her happily snuggling up to Shisheng, he wanted to throw her out. Of course, he could only think about it, so he sped up. Su Shanshan was so scared that she did not have the energy to talk to Shisheng. The car entered the airport, and Shifei slowed down. Su Shanshan hugged Shisheng's arm, her face pale. You scared me, sister. Shisheng touched her head, and Shifei snorted coldly in the front. Shisheng smiled silently. Shifei looked around the airport. There are police. Of course there are police. I called the police. Shifei's people were also mixed in with the police. He asked them to stay put and wait for the police to take action. If the police couldn't do it, they would take action. Su Shanshan didn't know what they were doing here, but she felt that the atmosphere was a little strange. She didn't dare to speak, and shrank into Shisheng's side, looking obedient. Shifei suddenly turned around. You sit in the front. Shisheng got directly into the car, and sat in the passenger seat. Su Shanshan pursed her lips in the back. Shifei grabbed Shisheng's hand and rubbed it gently before moving his gaze outside. The flow of people at the airport was very large. It was actually very difficult to find a few people among so many people, without alerting the enemy. Shisheng played with Shifei's hand. This hand was beautiful enough for her to play with for a year. It was beautiful no matter how she looked at it. The system was really afraid that she would cut off his hand and frame it. Fortunately, the host didn't have such dangerous thoughts this time. Click. The car door was suddenly pulled open, and a figure jumped in from outside. Cousin, drive, drive. Shisheng and Shifei looked at the person who jumped out at the same time. Shishua's face was full of anxiety. He looked out of the car and patted Shifei with his hand. My mother's people are here. They're blocking me at the airport. Drive. Hurry up, they're coming out. Shisheng looked towards the exit. Sure enough, she saw several burly foreigners dressed in black suits and sunglasses. They were walking over aggressively. When the plainclothes policemen saw these people, they were all secretly on their guard. Shishua was very anxious, but Shifei sat still like a mountain. Those people had already walked to the front of the car. They first looked at the car a few times, then talked for a while, probably confirming something. After a while, someone came forward and knocked on the window. Shifei rolled down the window. Sir. The other party spoke in English. Shifei nodded slightly and replied in fluent English. When I return to China, I will take Shishua with me. Tell my aunt not to worry. The other party hesitated for a few seconds, looked at Shishua, who was trying to reduce his presence, and then looked at Shisheng, and finally retreated. Then we'll go back and report. Shishua breathed a sigh of relief when Shifei closed the window. You're really my brother. I'll go first. He had to run away quickly. He didn't want to go back. But when Shishua pushed the door, he found that it couldn't be pushed open. Cousin. Brother. Brother. You're not really going to take me with you when you return to China, are you? Shishua complained. It's not safe outside. Shishua pressed his face against the window and tried to look outside. What's not safe? Is this really a member of your Shi family? Shisheng asked. How dare he say that he's a relative of a mafia boss? Hey, what do you mean? Shishua pulled his face back and glared at Shisheng. If I'm not a member of the Shi family, then are you? I'm your brother's man. In theory I should be. Shisheng answered seriously. Shishua was furious. Can you be more shameless? My brother hasn't even done anything with you yet, and you're already putting yourself in the Shi family's picture. You're up to no good, aren't you? Ouch! Shishua suddenly cried out. Only then did he realize that there was a little girl sitting next to him. The little girl's hand was pinching his arm. Don't talk bad about my sister. Su Shanshan's face was full of anger. Let go, let go. Shishua cried out in pain. Naughty kids nowadays are so rude, pinching people as soon as they come up. Su Shanshan saw Shisheng looking over and quickly let go. Shisheng reached out and patted Su Shanshan, who was overprotective of her, like a pet. He grinned and said to Shishua, I'm up to no good, but your brother likes me. What should I do? Asterisk, what should I do? I'm so angry. Begging for monthly votes. Hashtag begging for sweet potato votes today. Hashtag. Chapter 695. Shishua was so angry that he wanted to cry. He shouldn't have helped her in the first place. What kind of person was this? He only dared to say what his brother liked, but he didn't dare to do anything. Shishua shrank to the side and muttered to himself. No one knew what he was mumbling about. The police outside also began to move. Shi Fei moved his gaze away from Shisheng and looked outside. Leng Yan and his men entered the airport in batches. They probably sensed something was wrong and retreated one by one. The police encirclement kept shrinking, and Leng Yan and his men were forced into a small circle. At this time, there were still people around. The police were afraid of provoking them, so they used passers-by as a shield and didn't dare to move too much. Young Master Yan, let's fight? The people around Leng Yan suggested. Now that they were surrounded, they could only be arrested if they didn't fight. In order to pass through the airport, they didn't carry many weapons. If they really fought, they probably wouldn't be a match for the fully armed police. But weren't those the only two choices they had? Who was it that leaked the news? The police hadn't found them at all. Only a few of them knew that they were going to leave. Why would the police appear here now? Leng Yan's face darkened. It was meaningless to talk about this at this time. How to get out was more important. Young Master Yan, say something. Let's fight, Leng Yan said in a low voice. Hearing Leng Yan's words, the others immediately took out their guns and fired at the empty space. The sudden gunshots made the passers-by panic and flee. The scene was chaotic. The police immediately dispersed the crowd and continued to surround Leng Yan and his men. They quickly called for reinforcements. Screams and gunshots overlapped and lingered in the air above the airport for a long time. He's going to run, Shisheng said softly. Leng Yan had already broken through the encirclement and was running towards them. Shi Fei took out a gun from the car, rolled down the window and pointed the muzzle at Leng Yan who was running towards them. Brother! Shishua exclaimed. Shooting in front of so many police would cause trouble. Shi Fei aimed at Leng Yan. When Leng Yan realized that someone was pointing a gun at him, it was too late. There were police behind him and he couldn't run back. He wanted to run to the side, but a few police cars drove over from the side, completely blocking his way out. Bang! Shi Fei didn't even check if he had hit the target. He put down the gun, started the car, and left quickly. Through the rearview mirror, Shisheng could see that Leng Yan's body was frozen in place. He was looking in their direction. Due to the distance, Shisheng could not see his expression clearly. After the car drove far away, Leng Yan's body slowly fell to the ground. Shi Fei drove the car onto the highway and took the time to dial a number. Send someone to wait at Highway 215 and deal with the aftermath. Before the other side answered, Shi Fei hung up the phone. He didn't even give a specific address, but when he stopped the car, there were already people waiting on the highway. Shishua did not waste his breath this time. He opened the car door and jumped into the waiting car. Shi Fei waited for Shisheng to come down before he said a few words to the others and drove away. Shi Fei drove the car back to the city after circling around. Shishua got off halfway, saying that he did not want to be in the same room as a murderer. To be honest, Shisheng really wanted to slap him. Damn it, he made it sound like he was a little girl with a clean background. Su Shanshan was probably frightened, and did not say anything. Leng Yan was not dead. After the emergency treatment, He was still alive and kicking. The police had the clues provided by Shisheng. After the police investigation, the evidence was valid. Coupled with Shifei's secret tampering, Leng Yan could not escape this time. Did you miss on purpose? Shisheng tilted his head and looked at Shifei. At that time, they were not far away. It was not difficult for him to hit Leng Yan, but Leng Yan was saved in the end. Shisheng could only think that Shifei did it on purpose. Shifei did not deny it. Yes. He signed the last document and looked up at Shisheng. Death is too easy for him. For people, death was a terrible thing. But on the other hand, death was also a relief. Leng Yan wanted to kill her. How could he let Leng Yan die so easily? Stay in prison for the rest of his life? Shisheng's mouth twitched into a cold smile. If you don't like it, I can let him die quietly in prison. You even dare to touch people in prison? Shisheng tilted his head and looked at him. Shifei reached out and pulled her into his arms. President Shi, who had mastered the art of kissing, kissed Shisheng until he was out of breath. His lips were close to her ear and he whispered softly, "As long as it's what you want, no matter how difficult it is, I will do it for you. You've learned how to say sweet nothings." Shisheng clicked his tongue. Shifei was a little confused. Why was the effect different from what was written in the book? It was not that it was different from what was written in the book, but that Shisheng did not follow the script. "Are you willing to die for me?" Shisheng turned around and put his arms around his neck. He looked at him with a smile, only his figure in his eyes. The question he asked was not so friendly. "I just want to die with you." Shifei's words came out of his mouth almost without thinking. After saying it, he was stunned. This sentence, he had a very familiar feeling, just like the familiar feeling when he saw her. It seemed that he had said it many times to someone. He thought that his answer would make her unhappy, but the girl on top of him seemed to be very satisfied with this answer. Her eyebrows seemed to be tinged with a smile. She leaned over and kissed him, then got up and left. Shan has a parent-teacher conference today. I'm going to school first. Shifei pulled her. I'll go with you. Shisheng's eyebrows curved slightly. Okay. Last time there was an explosion in the school, several people died. The school was suspended for a long time because of it. Not long after school started, the school held a parent-teacher conference to let the parents know about the previous incident, and also to appease them. Shisheng and Shifei became the highlight of a group of uncles and aunties as soon as they entered. Not only were they young, but they were also so good-looking. The teacher was talking at the top, spittle flying everywhere. The parents below were basically looking at Shisheng and Shifei. How could they hear what the teacher was talking about? Why are they all looking at me? Shifei grabbed Shisheng's hand under the table and asked in a low voice, "How do you know they are looking at you?" Shisheng snorted. "Maybe they are looking at me? Are you the only good-looking one? She is also as beautiful as a flower, okay?" Shifei. #What should I do if my girlfriend doesn't follow the routine? Waiting online, it's quite urgent. #I don't like them looking at me. Shifei's fingertips rubbed Shisheng's palm, and his voice was a little flirtatious. "I just want to show it to you." "Okay, I'll lock you up, how about that?" Shifei. The two parents by the window in the 5th row below. "Please don't show off your affection here. You need to communicate emotionally. Please go back and close the door to communicate, okay?" The teacher suddenly slammed the table and glared in one direction. She had said so much, but these people didn't listen to her at all. Everyone's eyes were focused on the two parents by the window in the 5th row. Shisheng, Shifei, *, ha 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 ha. Please go back and close the door to communicate. Chapter 696. Shisheng wanted to die at this parent-teacher conference. Shifei, on the other hand, was calm and composed. He sat upright and listened to the teacher attentively. Since then, Su Shan was once again watched closely. After all, it was extremely rare to see such a young and handsome parent. Su Shan graduated from junior high school and was admitted to the best high school in City A. In order to make it easier for Su Shan to go to school, Shisheng wanted to move the house near the high school. Who knew that Shifei had already bought a house nearby and was waiting for her to move? "My wife is amazing." Shisheng patted Shifei on the shoulder. Shifei's mouth twitched. He grabbed her hand and pulled her into his arms. Whose wife? You're my wife. Shisheng smiled happily. Why, haven't I spoiled you enough? Shifei suddenly felt weak. Compared to her, what he had done was not worth mentioning at all. You'll spoil me if you spoil me so much. Shifei let go of her and led her into the house. Shisheng narrowed his eyes and said matter-of-factly, but if I don't spoil you, who else can I spoil? These words undoubtedly pleased Shifei. He paused and turned his head. Yan Mian, did you owe me in your last life? Otherwise, why would she be so good to him in this life? What nonsense are you talking about? Shisheng slapped him on the head. Is it wrong for I to spoil my man? Shifei. Why is it so difficult to say a word of love? Hashtag what should I do if I have a wife who always wants to spoil me? Hashtag. Shisheng found that the house only had 2 bedrooms and 1 living room. The point was 2 bedrooms. To be honest, Shisheng was very grateful for Feng Xi's initiative. She seemed very happy from the day she moved, but when she finished moving, she found out that tragedy had happened. Shifei actually bought a house next door. Next door. He lived next door. It was better to count on a pig to climb a tree than to count on Feng Xi to take the initiative. Hashtag what should I do if I have a partner who I've slept with countless times, but is still pure? I'm waiting, it's urgent. Hashtag sister? Are you unhappy? Su Shanshan tidied up her room and saw Shisheng leaning against the door with his arms crossed, looking outside with a sad face. I can see it, but I can't eat it. Shisheng sighed. Of course I'm not happy. Su Shanshan. She was still a child. Was it really okay to say such things in front of her? No matter how much Shisheng flirted with Shifei, it was just, she wasn't allowed to sleep. She wasn't allowed to sleep. She wasn't allowed to sleep. Shisheng was so angry that he almost drugged her. It wasn't like he didn't have any reaction. Why didn't he let her sleep with him? Just as Shisheng was about to force himself on her, Shifei returned to China. Bring her along. Shifei and Su Shanshan had been together for so long that many people had come looking for him, but they were all rejected by Shifei. Shisheng wanted to take Su Shanshan abroad to study, but Shifei refused. She said that she had more freedom in the country. When Shisheng saw the Shi family, he would understand why Shifei said that there should be more freedom in the country. The moment she got off the plane, she was surrounded by people from all angles. If it weren't for the fact that the onlookers didn't touch her, she would have drawn her sword and slashed them. Xiaofei, your daughter-in-law is not good. One of the older men commented. Just as Shisheng was about to argue, he said faintly, but she's barely qualified to enter our Shi family. Shisheng. I entered your Shi family because of your daughter-in-law, and you're still saying that she's barely qualified. If it were someone else, even the world's richest man, I wouldn't care. Be content. What's the point of looking for a partner? If you ask me, Xiaofei should live with us. Another man's words were even scarier. After he finished speaking, his tone changed again. But we've already found her. We can't just send her back. That would make our Shi family look like trash. Thank you. You didn't agree to let I into your family because you didn't want your family to be trash. Xiaofei, has your daughter-in-law killed anyone? One of the people behind suddenly said. Our family is not a place where a delicate little girl can enter. We won't be responsible if she's scared to death. The number of people I have killed is more than the number of meals you have eaten. Miss, come on, don't talk nonsense with them. A woman dressed elegantly finally couldn't help but reach out and pull Shisheng to her side. She's a good girl. Why do you want her to kill people? The woman paused. She just needs to watch others do it. Shisheng looked at Shifei silently. Is there anyone normal in your family? Auntie, uncles, if Mian is scared away by you, you can forget about getting your pocket money, Shifei said lightly. The group of people who were ready to scare Shisheng immediately coughed a few times and looked away. When they turned back, their faces were full of kindness. This little girl is delicate and pretty. She's a perfect match for our Xiaofei. Yes, look at her temperament. Ordinary people can't compare to her. Xiaofei is so lucky. Blah blah blah. The praise without any sincerity made Shisheng feel like he was in a mental hospital. The people of the Shi family seemed to be easy to get along with, but these people secretly controlled the lifelines of the major sects of the Mo clan. They were not easy to get along with. They had originally wanted to scare Shisheng, so that she would back off in the face of difficulties. However, this girl looked at them as if they were mentally retarded, making them wonder if they were really mentally retarded. Later, they learned from Shishua, who was later escorted back, that this girl had turned the domestic mafia upside down, and was awarded the title of Mafia Master. Now the domestic mafia did not dare to show their faces, for fear that they would be wiped out by the police. So this girl had enough of the domestic mafia, and came to play with them abroad? Everyone refuted Shifei in unison. This daughter-in-law is unacceptable. Shifei ignored these lunatics. They couldn't make the decision he made, so he just yelled a few times and ignored them. Everything would be fine in a few days. When Shifei ignored them, they went to Shisheng. Since they were Shifei's elders, Shisheng listened patiently at first and occasionally said a few words. However, there was no end to these people. They kept nagging at her all day long. In the end, Shisheng couldn't stand it anymore, and took out his sword to kill this group of people. This group of people was shocked by Shisheng's strength, but they were also more worried that Shifei would be bullied by Shisheng. They ran to Shifei and urged him not to have this kind of daughter-in-law. Shifei had long wanted to teach them a lesson, but they were not like other families who treated him badly. He couldn't teach them a lesson even if he wanted to. Shisheng's actions were deeply appreciated by Shifei, so this group of people finally left in disgrace and did not appear for a long time. It was not until the wedding was about to start that they appeared one after another and pointed fingers at the wedding. This person said something was wrong here and there, and that it should be changed. As soon as the wedding was done, another person said something was wrong here and there, and that it should be changed. If Shisheng was a wedding company, he would definitely slap these lunatics to death. Change, change, change. Vote, vote, vote. Vote. I need votes in the new week. Chapter 697. When he got up the next day, Shifei was full of energy. Shisheng looked sickly and listless. She couldn't even last 300 rounds in bed without Reiki. Bad review. Are you feeling unwell? Shifei touched her forehead nervously. Shisheng shook her head. No. She patted her face and cheered herself up. Let's go. Those idiots are still waiting. Shifei was a little worried about Shisheng and carefully supported her. It doesn't matter if we go later. They can afford to wait. That's rude. Shifei. You still know the word polite? That's rare. When Shifei and Shisheng went down, the hall was already full of people, including all the gossips. Shisheng was going to serve tea this morning to these strange elders who gave her, and Shifei a bunch of condoms yesterday. Shifei's parents were not there. They were said to be traveling around the world, and no one could contact them. They didn't even show up at the wedding. Cousin last night. Shishua took advantage of the time when Shisheng was being pulled aside by the gossips to sneak up to Shifei and winked. Shifei kept a straight face and didn't answer. Cousin, how are the books I bought for you? Are they very useful? Shishua continued. Shifei. Completely useless. Shishua continued to talk to himself. But she's also quite capable. She managed to deal with these difficult relatives so quickly. Shifei looked at the girl who was at ease in front of the elders and made the group of people speechless. His eyes were filled with tenderness. This was the person he chose. After the wedding, Shisheng and Shifei stayed abroad for a while before returning to China. Because Su Shanshan had classes, she was sent back to China after the wedding, so only Shisheng and Shifei returned this time. Shishua was detained by the Shi family on a blind date. It was said that he was not allowed to leave the Shi family until he got married. The Shi family condemned Shisheng for abducting their Xiaofei, but in the end, everyone still made up for the wedding red packet. After all, if word got out about the condoms, people would laugh their heads off. I'm going to the toilet. As soon as he got off the plane, Shisheng threw the things in his hand to Shifei and quickly ran in the direction of the toilet. She felt like she was on her period. He went to the toilet to take a look. Sure enough, she had come. Only then did Shisheng realize that he didn't have any sanitary pads in his bag. Sheng texted Shifei and asked him to buy it for him. Shifei stared at the phone for a long time and finally confirmed that he was not mistaken. He could only hand the things to the bodyguard beside him and walk towards the airport store. Shifei took a deep breath and went directly to the area where daily necessities were placed. His eyes swept over something that looked like a sanitary pad. There was no one in this area, so Shifei could only go there by himself. He took out his phone and checked the brands one by one, but he still couldn't find the brand that Sheng had mentioned. "Sir, how can I help you?" The salesperson probably saw that a man like him had been loitering around here for so long, and he was so handsome, so she asked with a red face. Shifei was embarrassed for a moment, but soon calmed down and showed his phone to the salesperson. "My wife is on her period. She wants this brand, but I can't find it. Can I trouble you to help me get it?" "Ah, this voice is so nice." The salesperson was completely intoxicated by Shifei's voice. When Shifei was a little impatient, she came back to her senses and glanced at the text message. With the shyness of a fangirl, she walked to the other side and explained, "This brand is being promoted, so it's not placed here." Does your wife want it for day use or night use?" The fangirl salesperson didn't realize until she reached the place. Such a handsome man actually has a wife. How heartbreaking. Shifei looked at his phone. It didn't say anything. Shifei asked the salesperson the difference between the two. Finally he texted and asked, and Sheng asked him to buy both. The fangirl salesperson. So considerate. Why didn't she have such a good-looking, good-sounding, and considerate husband? The fangirl salesperson reluctantly watched Shifei leave with the things, but before she could move her eyes away, Shifei turned back. He walked directly to the salesperson. Although his face was a little cold, he was very polite. "I'm sorry, could you please help me take the things to the toilet?" The people he brought were a group of uncouth people who could enter the ladies' room. The fangirl salesperson immediately nodded and agreed to the handsome man's request. She said goodbye to her colleagues on duty and followed Shifei to the toilet. The salesperson took the things to the toilet. She wanted to see what kind of person the handsome man's wife was, so she waited outside for a while. Sheng came out and saw her. Seeing that she was wearing the store's uniform, he smiled and thanked her politely. "Thank you for taking the things in for me." The fangirl salesperson's eyes suddenly widened. She waved her hand and said, "It's okay, it's our duty to serve customers." Ah. The handsome man's wife was really good-looking and so polite. She was so handsome when she smiled. The fangirl salesperson was stunned. Why did she say handsome? Sheng washed his hands and saw that the salesperson was still standing there. He reminded her, "Aren't you going out?" "Ah. Yes. The fangirl salesperson smiled embarrassedly and went out with Sheng. She said with admiration and envy, "Your husband is so good to you. You will have one too." Sheng paused, nodded slightly and walked in the other direction. The fangirl salesperson held her heart and was infatuated for a while. She clenched her fists tightly. She would definitely find such a handsome man. You can do it. When leaving the airport, Sheng saw two people who were quite surprised. Ling Yi and Ing Su. Ing Su was sitting in a wheelchair and looked a little dazed. Ling Yi pushed her and her luggage inside. Before, the country was very strict and they didn't dare to leave. After such a long time, Ling Yi took Ing Su abroad. Ling Yi bent down and asked Ing Su something. Ing Su shook her head. Ling Yi stayed in that position for a long time. His expression was a little bitter, but he quickly restrained himself and said a few words with a smile. Ing Su looked at him a few times and seemed to have said something unpleasant. The smile on Ling Yi's face was a little stiff. He stood up straight and pushed Ing Su forward. Ing Su turned around and kept saying something to him. Her expression changed from anxious to angry and finally to helpless begging. Ling Yi ignored her. Sheng didn't meet them face to face and watched them disappear into the crowd. Shifei touched Sheng's head and said softly, "The car is here." Sheng turned around and smiled at Shifei. Later, Sheng met Ing Su once abroad. At that time, she was not in a wheelchair and was supported by Ling Yi. Unlike at the airport, there was a faint ambiguity between the two. *The 21st world ended. He didn't want to write about the military, the Republic of China, ancient Chinese, interstellar, and so on. Damn it, he didn't want to write too much. His heart hurt. Chapter 698. After Su Shanshan graduated from high school, she went abroad with Shisheng to study abroad. The universities abroad were more liberal, open, and democratic than in China. She was no longer the Su Shanshan who was abandoned and cautious at every turn. She was the Su Shanshan who had seen life and death, who had been trained by Shisheng to become a socialite. Her sister had said. Her name was Su Shanshan, so she should be the shining star. She had to shine so brightly that others would be blinded by her brilliance. Su Shanshan remembered everything Shisheng said, and tried her best to fulfill it. Therefore, during her time in university, almost everyone knew the name Su Shanshan. In her second year, Su Shanshan started her own business. The startup capital was sponsored by Shisheng. She didn't want it at first, but after being brainwashed by Shisheng, Su Shanshan accepted it immediately. Why did you have to start from the bottom when you had the resources? If you started from a high starting point, then your achievements must be higher than others. This was relative. When she graduated from university, while other students were still busy with work, Su Shanshan's company had already started to recruit people. Her success was natural and was the lucky one in everyone's eyes. Because she had an omnipotent sister and a brother-in-law who unified the underground kingdom. If she didn't succeed, she would probably find a piece of tofu and kill herself. Su Shanshan also knew that she was lucky, because she met the person who brought her everything. If it wasn't for her, she might have grown up in Huangshan village, uneducated, married a random person and lived a mediocre life. She was very grateful to Shisheng. No matter what event Su Shanshan attended, as long as she could kidnap Shisheng, he would bring her along. This also made Su Shanshan very unpopular with Shi Fei. Of course, she didn't care if she was popular or not, as long as she was popular in front of Shisheng. Su Shanshan was also grateful to the villagers of Huangshan village. After she had the ability, she donated money to build roads and schools in Huangshan village. She also thought about giving them money directly, but Shisheng told her that giving money was only temporary. Could you give them money for a lifetime? If they wanted to get out of that place, they had to build roads and schools. Later, Su Shanshan sent people to see what was suitable for planting in Huangshan village, so that the people nearby could become rich. Su Shanshan's name was well known in that area. When Su Shanshan was abroad, she did not return to Huangshan village. On the eve of one spring festival, she originally agreed to return to China with Shisheng. However, when she was about to leave, she found out that Shi Fei had secretly changed his visa and was going to another country. Su Shanshan was already a mature and steady girl at that time, but she almost got into a fight with Shi Fei at the airport. If it weren't for Shisheng, it would probably dominate the headlines the next day. Su Shanshan could only return home alone. When the plane landed, her face was still filled with anger and dissatisfaction. When she came out of the exit, she saw someone in the crowd holding up a sign to welcome her. The person used the sign to cover his face. Su Shanshan could only guess from the person's height and build that it was a man. It seemed that only her high school classmates knew that she had returned to the country. Su Shanshan walked over. Hey! The other party heard the voice and put down the sign. He was a very gentle man with a pair of glasses. Su Shanshan. Su Shanshan thought for a while before she remembered who this person was. Lei Qing. She was the class monitor of her high school. Lei Qing was popular because he was handsome and had a good temper. She heard that a lot of girls liked him. However, Su Shanshan was focused on her studies at that time and didn't pay much attention to him. She only heard about him occasionally. She didn't expect that he would come to pick her up this time, which surprised her. You still remember me? Lei Qing pushed up his glasses. Su Shanshan smiled politely and pointed to the passage, indicating that she should go out first. The two met outside, and Su Shanshan asked curiously, "Why are you here to pick me up?" "There was a class reunion recently. I'm the class monitor and also the organizer. I saw in the group that you were coming back, so I asked them about the time and came to pick you up. I hope you don't mind." Su Shanshan didn't mention the specific time of her return to the country in the class group. She only said that it was today. Have you been waiting for a long time? Su Shanshan asked. Lei Qing shook his head and said gently and politely, No, I just picked up 2 classmates and they're in the car outside. I didn't plan to send them to the hotel without you in this class, but I didn't expect you to come out. What a coincidence. You don't have a place to stay, right? Why don't we go to the hotel together? Su Shanshan nodded. Thank you, class monitor. It's my pleasure. I'll help you carry your luggage. Lei Qing took the initiative to take Su Shanshan's luggage and let her out. I heard that you have your own company. Among us old classmates, you're doing the best. Su Shanshan listened and didn't say anything. Lei Qing said a few words, but seeing that Su Shanshan didn't respond, he stopped talking. There were 2 classmates sitting in the car outside, and Su Shanshan had some impression of them. These people had a deep impression of Su Shanshan, the top student, and asked her all kinds of questions as soon as they got in the car. Su Shanshan's polite reply was neither familiar nor cold. When the car arrived at the hotel, Su Shanshan found that some of her classmates were already staying there. These people had flown back from all over the world. They had long since shed their youthfulness, put on suits and leather shoes, put on heavy makeup, and became members of society. They learned to put on a show and welcome people with a smile. They were no longer like when they were young, showing everything on their faces. Su Shanshan was raised by Shisheng, and she inherited almost all of Shisheng's values. Therefore, when she saw these people, she could maintain a calm attitude. She didn't have the attitude that she had to act high and mighty just because she was now the boss of a company. When chatting with old friends and greeting classmates that she wasn't familiar with, she did everything perfectly. Su Shanshan had more time this time, so she wasn't in a hurry to go to Huangshan village. She stayed in the hotel with these people for 2 days, and when almost everyone arrived, the class reunion officially started. Halfway through the reunion, Lei Qing suddenly appeared in front of Su Shanshan with flowers. He still had a gentle smile on his face, and looked at Su Shanshan softly. Shanshan, I like you. Will you be my girlfriend? Lei Qing took care of Su Shanshan these few days, and everyone could see that Lei Qing wanted to pursue Su Shanshan. Therefore, when Lei Qing confessed to Su Shanshan at the reunion, no one was surprised. However, Su Shanshan was a little embarrassed. She didn't like Lei Qing at all. But with so many people cheering, Su Shanshan didn't know how to refuse. Suddenly, a figure flashed in her mind, and disappeared in a flash. Su Shanshan's eyes were a little dim. If her sister was here, what would she do? A few images immediately flashed in Su Shanshan's mind, and the corner of her mouth twitched slightly. Shi Fei could blow people up without her sister doing anything. But she wasn't her sister. Su Shanshan looked at Lei Qing. Lei Qing's face was a little expectant, but also a little nervous. Su Shanshan, sister, come and save me. Shisheng. The sky is high, the road is long, you're on your own. Su Shanshan. Shi Fei, what did you do to my sister? Hashtag today's rice cake flavored ticket hashtag Monday. I want tickets. Monthly tickets. Votes. Chapter 699. That day at the class reunion, Su Shanshan did not answer for a long time. Lei Qing gave Su Shanshan a way out and asked her to think about it. The class reunion continued, and after reminiscing about their youth, they had all kinds of high times. Su Shanshan was bored in the room, mainly because of the way the people looked at her. Everything was ambiguous, and they purposely pushed her in Lei Qing's direction. She used the excuse of going to the toilet and left the room. She stood there for a while, and suddenly a figure flashed by the corridor beside her. Su Shanshan was stunned and quickly chased after it. When she turned the corner, she only saw an empty corridor, and no one else. Su Shanshan rubbed her temples and shook her head in amusement. How could he be here? When Su Shanshan was abroad, she rarely went to places like KTV. Even if she did, she would go to the Shi family's property, and no one dared to do anything to her. But the people here did not know who Su Shanshan was. Seeing that she was pretty, some of them had evil thoughts. When Su Shanshan was about to go back, a few men blocked her way, These people were drunk, and their guts were probably enough to blow up the moon. Su Shanshan was about to use her shadowless kick to get rid of these people, but Lei Qing came out of nowhere and sent them away. Shanshan, are you okay? I'm fine. Su Shanshan shook her head. Lei Qing asked a few more questions carefully, as if he was sure that Su Shanshan was fine. Lei Qing took Su Shanshan back, and Su Shanshan could not say anything. After all, the Shi family was protecting her, and no one dared to touch her. After she came out for a while, the people in the room had already left, and the rest were the drunkards and the few who could barely walk. Lei Qing, as the class monitor, was responsible for sending these people back to the hotel. Su Shanshan was a kind girl, and they were high school classmates, so she naturally helped. After sending the last person away, only Lei Qing and her were left. Let's go back to the hotel together, Lei Qing suggested. They stayed in the same hotel, and Su Shanshan did not mind, and got into the taxi. Lei Qing stopped. Back at the hotel, the group of people was still in the lobby, and the hotel's customer service was helping them back to their rooms. Lei Qing had to help again, and it took him more than half an hour. Sorry to trouble you. Lei Qing sent Su Shanshan to the room door, and said a little embarrassedly. We're classmates. Su Shanshan opened the door. Good night. Lei Qing opened his mouth and finally said, good night. Not long after Su Shanshan entered the room, Lei Qing came again with supper. Su Shanshan was a little embarrassed. It was late at night, and her sister had said that she was not allowed to let men she did not like and were strangers into the room. Just as she was thinking about how to reject Lei Qing without hurting their friendship, a tall figure suddenly interrupted. Sir, you can choose to make an appointment during the day. Are you trying to have sex in the middle of the night? She didn't need to look to know who this voice belonged to. Shishuo. She hadn't seen wrongly before. He was really in this city. Who are you? Lei Qing looked at the man who suddenly interrupted with an ugly expression. Su Shanshan, is my sister-in-law willing to let you go back alone? Shishuo did not answer Lei Qing's question. Instead, he turned around and asked Su Shanshan. Speaking of this, Su Shanshan got angry. She was kidnapped by your brother. Lei Qing saw the two's posture, and guessed that they knew each other. He immediately said, Shanshan, you guys have something to talk about. I'll go back first. Call me if there's anything. TSK. Shishuo snorted in disdain. Lei Qing's expression became uglier, but he didn't say anything and turned to leave. I'll go first. Shishuo waited for Lei Qing to leave and immediately waved at Su Shanshan. Shishuo. Shishuo turned around. The current Shishuo had shed the frivolous look he had in the past. He dressed like a dog and looked more mature and charming. Su Shanshan shook her head and whispered, it's nothing. Shishuo turned around and took 2 steps before stopping. That man is up to no good. Be careful. How do you know? Su Shanshan asked while holding the door. Shishuo smiled confidently. I'm a man. Of course I know what he's thinking. By the way, don't tell them you've seen me. Otherwise, you'll get it when you get back. Su Shanshan rarely saw Shishuo, but she didn't know when she started to pay attention to Shishuo's movements. For example, when he was taken back to the Shi family, and when he left the Shi family. Shishuo would go back during the new year. Shishuo liked to stick to Shifei, and Shifei would definitely be with Shisheng. At this time, the two people who were despised by Shifei could only end up together. But that was it. At other times, Su Shanshan basically didn't see him. Shishuo had been urged by his family to get married, but he had never found a girlfriend. He didn't like those introduced by the Shi family. For so many years, Su Shanshan had never heard of any woman by his side. Her sister even secretly discussed with her, suspecting that Shishuo liked men. Su Shanshan then paid special attention to the men around Shishuo. But he seemed to only be close to Shifei. The first person he saw when he came back was Shifei, and the last person he saw when he left was Shifei. If Shifei didn't love her sister so much, she would have suspected that the two were gay. And Shishuo seemed to only see Shifei as his brother. There was no strange behavior or expression. Su Shanshan said goodbye to Lei Qing the next day, and made it clear that she didn't like him. She decided that she would chase after Shishuo. When Su Shanshan came back from Huangshan village, the first thing she did was to report to Shishua's mother. Shishua was caught in less than 2 days. When he found out that it was Su Shanshan who told him, he was so angry that he almost beat her up. But with the new year approaching, Shishua only lost his temper and didn't run outside. Shishua was arranged to go on all kinds of blind dates again. It made him sick. On this day, Shishua went in and found an acquaintance sitting inside. He went out and looked at the name of the room outside. After making sure that he didn't go to the wrong room, he walked in a few steps. Su Shanshan, why are you here? Shishua didn't like Su Shanshan. She dared to tell on him. This little girl is really something. Su Shanshan smiled and her red lips moved slightly. Waiting for you. Shishua suddenly became excited. What are you waiting for me for? To see if I went on a good blind date? So that you can tell on me to my mother? Su Shanshan, why are you so annoying? What did I do to you? We're a family after all. You. Su Shanshan got up and stared at Shishua. She interrupted him and said word by word. I like you, so I'm here to go on a blind date with you. Shishua's mouth was still open. He was probably shocked, and it took him a while to recover. You said you like me? Su Shanshan nodded. Shishua looked at the girl in front of him. He didn't know when, but the little girl had grown into a slender and elegant lady. Her body was graceful, mature and beautiful. Shishua suddenly turned and ran. Oh my God, someone actually confessed to him. Why was his heart beating so fast? It must be because he was scared. He hated women the most. For a long time, Shishua was chased by Su Shanshan. I once chased someone madly. Su Shanshan. Chapter 700. Ling Yi remembered the first time he saw Poppy was when he first entered the Black Tiger clan. More than a dozen children were in a training room. They were all in pairs, practicing with each other. She was the only one who stood alone in a dark corner, as if she was being ostracized, watching the others practice. He was brought in front of her, and that person said to Poppy, he's new. Guide him. Okay. Poppy's answer was short, and her gaze only lingered on him for a second before she looked away. Later, Ling Yi found out that she wasn't being ostracized. She was the leader of this team, and these people were under her command. Ling Yi was a street kid. He didn't know who his parents were. He was raised by a street kid, and when the street kid died, he became a street kid. He wandered the streets every day. Sometimes he could get money, and sometimes he couldn't get anything. He could only pick up garbage to eat. Being brought here by the Black Tiger clan, he was able to eat and wear warm clothes. He didn't have any objections, but the training every day was a little painful. Especially when he was training alone with Poppy, she was always very cruel, to him and to her. He found that the people in the team were a little afraid of Poppy. They didn't eat or bathe with her. He also often heard people talking about her in private. There were good and bad things, but Poppy didn't care. If she bumped into them, she would teach them a lesson. If she didn't, it was fine. The first time Ling Yi had a conflict with the people in the team, it was because of Poppy. One of the boys in the team said bad things about Poppy, and Ling Yi happened to see it. At that time, Ling Yi and Poppy were friends. Poppy would say a few more words in front of him, so he was very protective of Poppy. When the boy said bad things about Poppy, he didn't even think about it and attacked. This incident caused Poppy to be punished, and he and the boy were punished as well. However, Poppy, as the leader, was not up to standard. She was punished much more severely than they were. Ling Yi always remembered clearly that after he was punished, he went to find Poppy and saw a bloody person in the dormitory. If she wasn't lying on her bed, he wouldn't have recognized it as Poppy. He also remembered that it was the first time he cried since he became sensible. Poppy lay on the bed as though she was dead. He felt for her pulse, but it was so weak that he almost could not detect it. The organization did not allow anyone to treat Su, so Ling Yi could only wipe Su's body and bandage her wounds himself. During that period of time, the weather was hot and cold, and Su's wounds could not heal. One night, she had a high fever and was about to die. Ling Yi panicked and did not know what to do. A girl on the bed next to his saw that he was crying so hard, and whispered to him to find Hall Master Wu. Hall Chief Wu was the one who had brought him before Poppy back then. There were a total of 6 hall masters in the Black Tiger Hall. Hall Master Wu was one of the 6 hall masters. Ling Yi didn't know if he could do it, but he still went. He was just a child who had not officially become a member of the Black Tiger clan. It would not be easy for him to meet the clan leader. He had asked around for a long time before he found out about clan leader Wu's itinerary. He had stopped him halfway and asked him to save Poppy. He originally thought that Hall Master Wu would ignore him, but to his surprise, Hall Master Wu strode over in that direction as soon as he finished speaking. With Hall Chief Wu around, Poppy was quickly sent to the hospital. But because he had left the training room without permission, he was punished for a long time. By the time his punishment was over, Poppy had already been discharged from the hospital. He dragged his tired body to see her. When he reached the door, he found Hall Chief Wu inside. He instinctively avoided him. "Poppy, are you really not going to consider it?" Hall Chief Wu blocked Poppy from inside. He could not see what was happening to her, but he could hear her voice. "Hall Chief Wu, you know the rules of the organization better than I do." She was clearly just a child at that time, but she did not flinch in the face of a high-ranking person like Hall Chief Wu. Hall Chief Wu snorted coldly. "As long as you are willing, I can let you leave the organization." "Thank you for your kindness, Hall Chief Wu. Poppy, I will give you one more chance. You can come and find me if you regret it." Hall Chief Wu left with those words and strode away. Ling Yi paced around outside for a long time. For some reason, he did not go in. Later, he found out that Hall Chief Wu had always liked Poppy. It was just that Poppy's performance was extraordinary. There were people watching her from above, so Hall Chief Wu did not dare to act rashly. He only found out about this after Hall Chief Wu died. And Hall Chief Wu's death was related to him. He still remembered that day when he went to look for Poppy. Before he reached her room, he saw people guarding it. He recognized those people. They were the people around Hall Chief Wu. Ling Yi had a bad feeling. He quickly went downstairs, went around to the back, and climbed up from the outside. Poppy's room was on the 3rd floor. When he climbed up, he happened to see the window. The curtains were not drawn. Through the window, Ling Yi saw Poppy lying unconscious on the bed. Hall Chief Wu was on top of her, unbuttoning her clothes. Ling Yi's mind exploded. His mind was filled with murderous intent. It was probably at that time that he found out that he liked Poppy. The bed was facing the inside and Hall Chief Wu's back was facing him. In a fit of anger, Ling Yi climbed in through the window and stabbed Hall Chief Wu in the back. Then he jumped onto the bed and stabbed Hall Chief Wu in the neck. Blood spurted out and splattered on Poppy's face. Hall Chief Wu was immersed in lust, so Ling Yi was able to get his hands on him. Normally, he would have been discovered before he even got close. Ling Yi woke Poppy up, but Poppy did not panic at all. She only asked him to find another hall chief. The 6 hall masters were at odds with each other on the surface, and Poppy had used the other hall master, who was at odds with Hall Master Wu, to successfully fake the entire incident as Hall Master Wu had tried to rape her, and she had killed Hall Master Wu in self-defense. Although Hall Chief Wu's people had objections, they could only grit their teeth and swallow their blood under the rules of the organization. They could go outside to find other women, but the girls in the organization were not to be trifled with. Ling Yi and Poppy escaped, but from then on, Hall Chief Wu's people secretly targeted them. In the end, no one dared to partner with them. Poppy and Ling Yi became fixed partners. Even if there were people secretly targeting them, under Poppy's leadership, their mission completion rate was far ahead of other teams. He accompanied her through the darkest times, through life and death, but in the end, she fell in love with another man. He was still excluded from her world, but he was not willing to give up. He would spend more time with her. One day, she would forget that man and fall in love with him. He would replace that man and become the most important person in her heart. He could afford to wait. When a person did not give up on you when you were at your worst, no matter what you became, he would not leave you. Then he might be able to accompany you through life and death. Ling Yi. Chapter 701. Every time she parted with Feng Xi, Shisheng was very calm. She slowly took off the watch on Feng Xi's wrist and kept it in the space. She held his hand that had lost its warmth and whispered, "See you in the next world." Sheng returned to the system space and slowly walked to the screen. Host, the intruder didn't appear in this world. The system immediately inquired. He appeared. Sheng's fingertips swiped across the screen. He appeared once in the mansion. It didn't know anything. Sheng didn't count on this retarded system anymore, but she was in a good mood and explained to it. When Ingsu fell, I didn't hurt her. Ingsu didn't do it on purpose. I found a stone on the ground. What a deep trap. Then why didn't he make a move? Sheng despised. Do you think I patched it for nothing? His identity this time is definitely not my match. Would he dare to come and seek death? Host, if you treat me like this, I'll tell you. Name, Sheng moral points. 255000 health points, 40 points, 42,000 mission grade. A mission score, 94 hidden mission. Complete hidden mission reward. 2,000 points side mission 1. Complete side mission 1 reward. 3,000 points side mission 2. Complete side mission 2 reward. 1,000 points item column. Queen's Crown. Ghost King's Heart. Dark Knight Amazing. My moral points increased by 10,000 points. How can eliminating prostitution and gangs increase my points so much? Host, don't think too much. The moral points increased so much because of Su Shan. Sheng. Can't you let me be happy? Why are you interrupting? Select the world. Insufficient authority. Unable to select the world. Do you really think the system is yours? Do you think you can do whatever you want? Sheng was a little depressed. Insufficient authority again. And she couldn't even unlock the last authority. If she unlocked it, the whole system would collapse, which was equivalent to suicide. The system was a little proud. Its master wasn't that easy to deal with, humph. Sheng rested for a moment in the space and waved her hand irritably. Next world. Beginning transmission. Everyone knew that Ruan Xiaoyang had no regard for the law. When Sheng woke up, she found that she was being carried on her back and tied to a stick. There were people in front of her, and her body kept swaying. Above her was a dense forest. Mottled light fell from the canopy and flashed quickly in her eyes. Hey, this little girl is awake. Suddenly, a perverted hand reached out from the top of Sheng's head and pinched Sheng's cheek. Girl Sheng was speechless. She would remember this grudge. Don't talk nonsense. Hurry up and go back. It will be troublesome if the officials catch up. The pervert pinched the Sheng a few more times. It felt so good that he didn't want to let go. The person in front of him scolded him, and the pervert withdrew his hand. Sheng tried his best to raise his head and look at the owner of the hand. He would definitely chop him up first. Sheng tried to move his wrists after checking the owner of the groping hands. However, his wrists were firmly tied to the rod, and he couldn't break free at all. Her body seemed to be very weak. She was panting after struggling for a while. You're always using such a weak chicken body. Do you dare to kill everyone in sight? Don't move. I can't bear to hit you with such tender skin. The pervert's voice came from the front again, and he took the opportunity to pinch her. Sheng was speechless. I told you that I was a person with a temper. Once was enough. But you pinched me twice. This is not over. This group of people was very fast. Before Sheng could break free from the rope, they had already started to climb the mountain and entered a mountain village. There was a sign hanging at a crooked angle in the mountain village. Sheng couldn't tell what the words were because of the wind and the sun. Sheng was put down on the ground like a pig. His ears were filled with noisy voices. We're finally back. I'm so tired. Hurry up and report to the boss that we have a great harvest this time. Sheng tilted his head and saw a group of people moving things inside. Bandits. These two words popped up in Sheng's mind. The group of people was busy organizing the loot and didn't rush to deal with Sheng. Their thoughts were simple. She was a girl who was tied up. How could she escape? Sheng estimated her physical strength first. She was a little weak. She wasn't a martial artist. So the best thing to do now was wait for the bandit boss. As the saying went, to catch bandits, catch the leader first. Everything would be solved if they got rid of the bandit boss first. No. Sheng suddenly realized. Why did she have to use her brain? Damn it. Her body was weak, but she had a sword. What was she afraid of? Sheng felt that he was stupid. He quickly took out his sword and cut the rope. What are you doing? One of the bandits turned around and saw Sheng cutting the rope with a long sword. He immediately shouted and ran toward her. His shout attracted the attention of the nearby bandits. They all dropped their things and surrounded Sheng. They were all talking at once. There was no sense of danger at all. Who gave her the sword? No. The place where she was just now was empty. Where did the sword come from? It's so big. You can't hide it in the girl's chest, right? When the first bandit approached, Sheng had already cut all the ropes and stood up with the help of the iron sword. Little girl, you still want to run? Do you think you can run? Don't you know where we are? The first bandit laughed sinisterly. Be a good girl and follow us. We promise you a good life. If you dare to resist, don't blame us for destroying you. Where is this place? Sheng looked weak. His body swayed as if he would fall to the ground in the next second. This is Hafeng Stockade. The bandit proudly puffed out his chest, waiting for Sheng to scream and beg for mercy. However, he didn't. The girl who looked weak was looking at him as if he was an idiot. There was a kind of arrogance in her eyes. Her pink lips moved slightly, and she slowly spat out a few words. Never heard of it. You don't know about Hafeng Stockade? The surrounding bandits immediately exploded. Their voices were so loud that the birds in the trees nearby flew away. Who doesn't know about Hafeng Stockade in this area? Is this girl an idiot? Even an idiot knows about Hafeng Stockade. As if Sheng didn't know how big of a crime Hafeng Stockade had committed, they all glared at Sheng fiercely. Damn, is Hafeng Stockade that awesome? Everyone in the world had to know whether or not it was true. What's wrong with not knowing? You're good, you're awesome, but you're still bandits. Sheng confidently glared back. What are you staring at? Your eyes are so small. No matter how much you stare, they can only be so big. Who told you we're bandits? The bandit was angry. Then what are you? If you're not bandits, then are you Liangshan heroes who rob the rich to help the poor? The bandit took a deep breath and solemnly shouted, We're bandits. Sheng. Oh my God, where did this idiot come from? Hurry up and take him back for treatment. Don't make a fool of yourself here. A bandit next to him weakly reminded him. Xuanzi, bandits and robbers are pretty much the same. Asterisk, please vote. Chapter 702. The bandit called Xuanzi flew into a rage out of humiliation. Do you think I don't know? What are you waiting for? Grab her and send her to the boss. Bah, you little bitch still want to run away. The other bandits were probably afraid of Xuanzi and didn't dare to refute. They stepped forward to grab Sheng. Wait a minute. There was a sudden shout from behind. The group of bandits immediately made way for a man dressed like a scholar, waving a chicken feather fan, to come over. Military advisor. Xuanzi called out and said flatteringly, What can I do for you, military advisor? Sheng was speechless. A bandit's lair actually had a military advisor. That was really something. Military advisor sized up Sheng. Where did you catch this woman? In Baiha village. Xuanzi replied, Military advisor, don't you think she's very beautiful? I've never seen such a beautiful woman. Military advisor didn't know what to think. After a while he nodded and said, Send her to the boss. Okay. They definitely wouldn't have a chance to taste such a beautiful woman. They would have to wait until the boss got tired of her. Sheng waved his iron sword, which made a swooshing sound in the air. The bandits didn't dare to move forward. They just circled around her. Go. She's just a woman. Why are you afraid of her? She has a weapon. No matter how he looked at the sword, it was a little scary. Xuanzi kicked the nearest bandit's butt. So what if she has a weapon? There are so many of you and you're still afraid of a woman. Don't let the boss wait too long. Hurry up. Now that things had come to this point, they could only brace themselves and do it. Sheng looked at them coldly. When they approached, he waved his iron sword gently. The nearest bandits were directly sent flying by the sword energy. They fell several meters away and hit the ground, splashing a layer of dust. Oucha! My hand. The bandits who didn't suffer looked at Sheng in horror. and involuntarily stepped back. Xuanzi was also frightened by this and hid behind military advisor. Military advisor. She. How could she be so powerful? She wasn't this powerful when they caught her before. Shisheng looked at Xuanzi. This was the man who pinched her face just now. Shisheng's gaze made Xuanzi's scalp tingle. This was not the gaze a girl should have. It was so cold that it could freeze a person. Even bandits like them, who had licked blood from their blades, did not have such a gaze. The girl standing in front of them suddenly grinned, and the surrounding light seemed to dim in an instant, turning into a hell of white bones, and they were in the middle of it. Screams rose and fell in the forest. This was a transmigration story. The female lead, Su'er, was the eldest daughter of the Su family in Baiha village. Because of the annual drought, the crops they planted were not harvested, and the family did not have enough food to eat. Su'er was going to be sold to a landlord as a concubine. Su'er was not happy and hanged herself. When he opened his eyes, he saw Su'er, who had come from the modern era. After understanding his situation, Su'er first dealt with the landlord and used her knowledge from the modern era to start a business in the ancient era. She also changed from a tan little fat girl to a fair and tender little girl. Many men in Baiha village looked at Su'er in a new light, and countless people came to propose marriage. However, the female lead definitely did not agree. Later, the female lead met the male lead, Du Guxiu. As the prince regent, Du Guxiu was chased by people and broke into the female lead's room in the middle of the night. Naturally, the female lead saved the male lead, and the male lead lived in the female lead's house. The male lead found that the female lead had many strange but very practical ideas, and gradually fell in love with her. Every time someone made things difficult for the female lead, the male lead would come out to protect her. Everyone in the village said that the two had an improper relationship, but the female lead did not come out to explain, and let these rumors spread. There were droughts every year, and after the female lead found the problem, she ordered people to build canals to divert water from the river to the fields to solve the harvest problem. She also promoted the slogan of "Defeat the landlord, return the land to the people." The male lead admired the female lead's personality, and after his people found him, he did not rush back. Instead, he stayed with the female lead for a while before bringing people back to the capital. The female lead continued to build her own business, and walked out of the mountains, walked out of Baiha village, entered the county town, and even more advanced cities. Her name was known by all the villages within 10 miles, and she benefited countless people. Du Guxiu would occasionally come out to help the female lead kill elite monsters, and help her level up. The relationship between the two became more and more ambiguous, but they never broke that layer of relationship. Until the female lead became the richest person in the country, Du Guxiu ascended the throne, and sent people to announce that she was the empress. The ending was more or less like that. The original owner, Ruan Xiaoyang, was the daughter of the Ruan family in Baiha County, and could be considered the richest family in the area. 80% of the land within 10 miles belonged to the Ruan family. Ruan Xiaoyang's parents died of illness one after another, and she was the only one left. With this land, she would not have to worry about food and drink for the rest of her life. She would find a son-in-law and live happily and peacefully for the rest of her life. This was also the future life that Ruan Xiaoyang had planned. However, the female lead appeared. She was the one who suddenly rushed out of the shop next door, and Ruan Xiaoyang's carriage hit her, but the female lead confidently asked her to apologize. Ruan Xiaoyang was a daughter of a rich family, so how could she apologize? She let someone drive the carriage away. After that, there were several conflicts that were neither too big nor too small. The hatred between the two was formed just like that. After the female lead found out that the land in Baiha village belonged to the Ruan family, she urged the villagers to make trouble and asked for less rent. Ruan Xiaoyang was so angry that she went to find the female lead herself, who knew that she would run into bandits who came down from the mountain to rob her. Ruan Xiaoyang and the female lead ran away together. The group was blocked by the bandits. Ruan Xiaoyang and the female lead were both beautiful, so the bandits had evil intentions and wanted to take them back. However, the female lead was protected by the male lead, so in the end, only Ruan Xiaoyang was unlucky. She was taken back to Hafing village and was defiled by the head of the village on the same day. She resisted, tried to run away, and even used her family's property to bribe them. The bandits agreed on the surface that after they took away all of the Ruan family's property, they didn't mention letting her go at all. Ruan Xiaoyang waited for a chance to run away, but at this time, the officials came and attacked. She was treated as a bandit and shot to death. Before she died, she saw the female lead standing among the officials. She saw her clearly and knew that she wasn't a bandit, but she didn't stop her and just watched her die. The original owner didn't have much hatred. Her biggest wish was to protect the property her parents left her and live a peaceful life. Shisheng didn't understand Ruan Xiaoyang's thoughts. She did have hatred in her heart, but not much. However, when faced with such a situation, no matter who was right or wrong, she should hate. Why did Ruan Xiaoyang only wish to live a peaceful life? At this point, Shisheng could only say, people's hearts were complicated. Everyone had their own aspirations. Little fairy. The landlord didn't save any food coupon at home. Shisheng Rob. Little fairy. They didn't give it to me. I was so angry that I cried. Shisheng. Draw sword cherub. Chapter 703. When Shisheng came, the original owner was caught by the bandits. At this time, the female lead and the male lead should be cultivating their relationship in the mountains. In the wilderness, it was very suitable for a relationship. Shisheng crossed his legs and ate the drumstick. He looked at the bandits who were tied up in the courtyard and pondered. How should he deal with them? Kill them? This was considered as getting rid of evil for the people. His character should increase, right? Hafing gang had been here for many years. The leader was a murderer. Later, he became familiar with a few ruffians and established a gang here. It became a big tumor in the area. Relying on the fact that this mountain was easy to defend and hard to attack, these bandits were fearless. They went down to rob people and women when they had nothing to do. Shisheng didn't care about the women who were robbed. They should have run away by now. After Shisheng finished the drumstick, she killed the man who touched her and the leader who raped the original owner. She didn't touch the rest of the bandits. She set a fire and went down the mountain. What was the difference between this and killing them? What a joke. Would I leave a scourge alive and wait for them to take revenge in the future? Shisheng went down the mountain. The fire on the mountain was high and the thick smoke filled half the sky. The road down the mountain was not easy to walk. Shisheng walked and stopped for a long time before she reached the foot of the mountain. When she returned to Baihe County, the sky was already dark. The Ruan clan was currently in chaos. Seeing Shisheng return, the servants immediately surrounded her so tightly that not even a drop of water could pass through. Miss, where did you go? How did you end up like this? Quickly prepare hot water. Miss, slow down. When Shisheng went to Baihe village, he only brought 2 people. He didn't tell the people in the Ruan family, so they didn't know where she went. It's okay. Shisheng waved her hand. Her voice was soft and weak. It made people worried. Maid Qiushui supported Shisheng. Her face was full of worry. Miss, why do you look so pale? Are you sick? I'm tired. Qiushui quickly called someone to send Shisheng back to her room. The hot water was already prepared. Qiushui wanted to help Shisheng bathe. Shisheng wasn't used to it and rejected Qiushui. Qiushui felt a little strange. In the past, she was the one who served the young mistress when she bathed. Qiushui closed the door and went out. The maids outside immediately surrounded her. Big sister Qiushui, how is young miss? Young miss is acting strange. Autumn Water frowned. What happened? Where has miss been these days? Qiushui looked at the room and waved her hand. Let's wait for miss to rest first. It's fine as long as miss is back safely. Go and prepare the food first. The maidservants responded and ran towards the kitchen. Shisheng soaked in the bathtub for a while and felt less tired. There was spiritual energy in this plane. It was better to cultivate with such a weak body. When Shisheng came out of the bathtub, the water was already cold. Qiushui paced back and forth outside with a frown. She only heaved a sigh of relief when she saw Shisheng come out. Miss, are you hungry? I'll get someone to serve the dishes. Qiushui was the host's personal maid. She had grown up with the host since she was young. Although she was young, she was very meticulous. She was a very calm person. She was usually in charge of all matters in the residence. The food had just been prepared. It was quite sumptuous. The food in the ancient times maintained its original taste. Some tasted good, while others tasted worse. It could not suppress the fishy smell inside. Shisheng was not picky as long as it was not something unpalatable. He ate 2 bowls of rice in a row. After eating, Qiu Shui asked carefully, "Miss, where have you been these days?" They were going crazy looking for her. Heifeng village. Shisheng burped and said calmly. Qiu Shui's face paled. She stuttered, Miss, why did you go to Heifeng village? Even the officials were not willing to go there. Why did Miss go there? Shisheng said matter-of-factly, I was caught. Qiu Shui's hand that was cleaning up the bowls and chopsticks trembled. The bowls and plates fell to the ground and shattered into pieces, splashing all over the floor. The room fell into an eerie silence. Qiu Shui looked at Shisheng in shock. A few seconds later, she rushed to Shisheng. She was anxious and worried. Miss, are you okay? Did you? Qiu Shui did not dare to say those words. Shisheng looked at her and shook his head. No. That's good. That's good. Qiu Shui patted her chest. She was scared to death. Master and Madam would protect Miss from heaven. They would not let anything happen to Mississippi, Miss. Why were you caught? Why didn't you tell us? What would we do if something happened? Shisheng was speechless. He was not going to take the blame. Ruan Xiaoyang was the one who did not tell them, not her. Qiu Shui had a lot of questions. She asked them all about how she was caught, and how she escaped from Heifeng village. In the end, she was so angry that she wanted to report it to the officials. These bandits have no respect for the law. They dared to catch our Mississippi. We must report it to the officials. They have no respect for the law, Shisheng said calmly. Why talk about the law with bandits? Weren't they retarded? Miss, Qiu Shui was furious. Why are you still so calm? Shisheng raised his eyebrows. What else can I do? If it's useful to report it to the officials, they would have been surrounded. Don't waste your energy. So we're just going to let this go? Qiu Shui was not convinced. Her miss had never suffered since she was young. Now that she was caught and brought to Heifeng village, how could she take this lying down? Shisheng was silent for a moment. If she told her that she had already wiped out the entire Heifeng gang, would she faint from shock? To avoid trouble, Shisheng decided not to tell her. Shisheng gave Qiu Shui a perfunctory reply and chased her out with the excuse that he was tired. Qiu Shui stood outside the door. Her anger calmed down bit by bit. She was confused. Why did Miss? In the past, Miss always had a childish temper. Although she had a temper, she would ask Qiu Shui when she encountered any problems. This time, Miss seemed to have her own opinions. The Ruan family was really rich. Not only did they have land, but they also had shops. The monthly income was impressive. Such a large amount of wealth seemed to have become the female leads after the original owner died. If she wanted to protect these things, she had to deal with the female lead. Shisheng asked someone to send all the account books to her the next day. Qiu Shui was even more confused. Miss, didn't you hate these things the most in the past? When the old master was here, he asked Miss to look at the account books and learn. She was not willing. Why did she want to look at the account books now? Shisheng flipped through the account books. He supported his chin with one hand and said casually, I don't want the Ruan family to fall into my hands. Qiu Shui was stunned. Then she smiled and said, Miss has grown up. If Miss had experienced some things and grown up, Qiu Shui suddenly felt that it was not a bad thing. At least Miss was fine now. Miss would be better in the future. Asterisk hashtag today's rice-flavored ticket hashtag goodnight cherub. Chapter 704. The accounts in ancient times weren't like in modern times where the system could calculate the answers. Every account had to be looked at and calculated by oneself. Moreover, it was written in big letters. When Shisheng finished reading, he felt dizzy and nauseous. Shisheng picked out the problematic accounts and said to Qiu Shui, change the managers of these shops. Ha! Qiu Shui was confused. She flipped through the accounts. Miss, the managers of these shops are all old. Is there a problem? When Ruan Xiaoyang was unwilling to learn, Qiu Shui was forced to learn by her father. She was the one who looked through the accounts and didn't see any problems. Shisheng pointed at a few places where the accounts were falsified. Qiu Shui didn't understand at first, but after reading a few times she understood. Her expression turned ugly. How can they do this? We give them the best treatment. They've been working for the Ruan family for a long time. It's because they're old that they dare to do this. Ruan Xiaoyang was young and a girl, so these people dared to do this. Miss, I'll go now. Qiu Shui took the accounts and went out. They dared to deceive their superiors and think that their miss was easy to bully. The news of these shopkeepers spread quickly. Some people who wanted to make a fortune didn't dare to have any ideas after this incident. The miss left behind by the Ruan family wasn't easy to fool. After dealing with the Ruan family, Shisheng had time to pay attention to the female lead. Are we still collecting the rent from Baihe village? Shisheng called Qiu Shui over to ask. Qiu Shui nodded. Not yet. They made a big fuss before, so we collected the rent from the neighboring village. However, I heard that there were bandits in Baihe village and all the food was stolen. I'm afraid we can't collect much. Miss, why are you suddenly asking about this? Shisheng waved his hand. Let's go. Follow me to show off. Huh? Qiu Shui didn't understand the word show off. She looked at Shisheng in confusion. What was Miss talking about? Collecting rent. Shisheng changed his words. Let the subordinates do this. How can you go? Qiu Shui disagreed. The village was dirty and messy. It wasn't a place for Miss to go. Most importantly, Miss was an unmarried girl. How could she show her face in public? It's boring to stay at home. Let's go and have a look. Shisheng's tone was indifferent, but no one could refute him. Qiu Shui looked at Shisheng in confusion. Why did Miss become so strange? She opened her mouth, wanting to persuade Shisheng, but her gaze suddenly met with Shisheng's eyes. His eyes were as clear as before, but there was less fluctuation in them. It was a calmness that she had never seen before. It did not contain the slightest bit of emotion. The coldness that spread out from the depths of his eyes made people's hearts turn cold. Qiu Shui was stunned. What happened to young Miss? White River Village was quite a distance away from White River County. The carriage swayed for half the morning before they finally arrived at White River Village. Shisheng alighted from the carriage. There were farmlands by the roadside, and some tenants were harvesting rice. As soon as Shisheng's carriage appeared, those people noticed it. There was a sign of the Ruan residence hanging on the carriage. Of course, they knew that it was someone from the Ruan residence, and was most likely here to collect rent. However, when they saw Shisheng alighting from the carriage in silk and satin, some of their expressions changed. Isn't this the other day? Why did she alight from the Ruan residence's carriage? Ruan Xiaoyang had never been to White River Village. The tenants here only knew her name, but had never seen her before. The last time she came to White River Village, she did not report her name. That day, when Ruan Xiaoyang was caught by the bandits, some of the tenants saw it. Now that they saw her alighting from the Ruan residence's carriage, how could they not be surprised? The Ruan residence was their boss. The village chief of White River Village heard the news and rushed over. When he saw the previous rent collector standing beside Shisheng, he thought for a moment and roughly knew who this person was. Boss. The village chief called out tentatively. You're the village chief? Qiu Shui asked on behalf of Shisheng. Gather everyone in your village. Our miss is here to collect rent. He was not there on the day the bandits robbed, so he did not know what was going on. Now that he heard Qiu Shui's words, he only felt troubled. He looked at the villagers behind him and rubbed his hands. Boss, it's not that we don't want to pay. This time, the bandits from Hafeng Stockade came down to rob us. Other than what we have in the fields, we don't have any food at home. Can you slow down and let us finish the winter? Qiu Shui looked at the village chief. The Ruan family won't be so ruthless. We also know your difficulties, but you still have to pay some. There were so many tenants in the surrounding villages. If those people heard that the people of White River Village did not pay the rent, wouldn't they make a scene? When old Master Yuan was still around, he was very tolerant of these tenants. If they could not pay this year, they could pay next year. However, it was not like they did not pay at all. There were rules in every profession. Once the rules were broken, it would cause a collapse. The village chief said in pain, "There's really no other way this year. The villagers only have this little bit of food left in the fields. It's hard to say if we can even survive the winter. Boss, please do us a favor and be kind. We'll definitely make up for it next year." Qiu Shui could not make up her mind. She looked at Shisheng. "Miss, what do you think? Previously, you said that you wanted to reduce the rent?" Shisheng glanced at the village chief. The village chief's heart skipped a beat. He said with a bitter face, "Boss, the harvest is getting worse year by year. We also have no other choice. After paying the rent, there's not much left." Shisheng's lips curled up. "But from what I know, the other family's rent is higher than ours. The Yuan family only took 40%, while the others took 50%. It was a whole 10% less." The village chief wiped the cold sweat on his forehead. He did not know how to answer. He could not help but blame the female lead in his heart. If the boss did not rent the land to them, what would they do? "Yuan Xiaoyang." A delicate voice came from the ridge of the field. The female lead, who was wearing coarse hemp clothes, came up from the field. Her calves were still stained with mud. She looked a little pathetic. Of course, Qiu Shui recognized Su'er. She had caused trouble for her miss a few times before. Miss was kind and did not argue with her, but Su'er still took advantage of her, and acted as if she was the most reasonable. "Su'er, what do you want?" Qiu Shui blocked in front of Shisheng. "Is Mrs. name something you can call?" "Isn't a name for people to call?" Su'er said righteously. "Yuan Xiaoyang, what are you doing here again?" Su'er knew that the original owner had been captured by bandits, but she did not report it to the officials or the Yuan family. In Su'er's heart, she felt that it was good that someone taught Yuan Xiaoyang a lesson for exploiting people like her. She did not expect her to come back in one piece. "Collecting rent, of course." Shisheng's eyes curved into a smile. "Isn't that obvious?" Shisheng. Farming, you actually want I to farm?" "Little fairy, beautiful scenery, how beautiful." Shisheng, haha. System notification. Little fairy has gone offline. Chapter 705. Su Hua puffed out her chest and accused Shisheng righteously. "It's not like you don't know that our village was robbed by bandits. Now you're here to collect rent. Are you trying to drive our entire village to death? What does it have to do with me?" Shisheng looked at Su'er in amusement. "It's your problem that you were robbed. Do you want me to bear the loss for you? Who do you think you are?" It was like a seller selling something, but the buyer was robbed on the way, and the buyer came back to ask the seller to take responsibility. Wasn't this bullshit? Su'er thought of herself as the messenger of justice. "The Yuan family is rich, and you don't lack rent. Can't you be kinder?" Shisheng spread his hands. "How can you blame me for being rich? I give you the land, and you pay the rent. That's the rule. Then can't you delay if we can't hand it over now?" Su'er looked furious. "You bourgeoisie only know how to exploit the people. You're a girl. How can you be so cruel? You're so reasonable when you can't hand it over. It's not like I stole your food. What's the point of being angry with I? What a joke." "Same here." Shisheng smiled insincerely. Su'er could tell that Shisheng was referring to her being taken away by bandits. She was a little short of breath, but she quickly calmed down. She was just a mentally handicapped girl, and she couldn't save her. Besides, wasn't she fine? Those bandits just wanted money, and the Yuan family was rich. What could they do to her? "Su'er." The village chief couldn't stand it anymore and pulled her behind him. "You're just a girl. Why are you interrupting?" "Village chief, she's forcing us into a dead end." Su'er was not convinced. "Yuan Xiaoyang, don't think that you're so great just because you're rich. Not everything in this world can be bought with money." "Is that so?" Shisheng's mouth twitched, and his voice was a little teasing. "But I'm rich. If money can't buy it, I can use other methods." "Su'er." She looked at Shisheng strangely. This was the Ruan Xiaoyang she knew. Why did her tone change so much? The village head was drenched in cold sweat. He asked someone to hold Su'er back, and he hurriedly apologized to Shisheng. You can take your time, but she has to hand it over. Shisheng pointed at Su'er. Why should I? Su'er broke free from the person who was grabbing her and rushed forward again. Why was she the only one who had to hand it over? I just can't stand you. Didn't they say that I'm cruel? How could he let these two words down? I'll show you how ruthless I am. Su'er was so angry that her face turned red. She wanted to argue with Shisheng, but the village had quickly stopped her. If she continued, the whole village might have to hand her over. Su'er could only watch as Shisheng got into the carriage and left. Su'er suffered a loss at the Shisheng's hands. She was still indignant when she went back home. She was even more determined to defeat the bourgeoisie. There were 6 people in Su'er's family, Su'er's parents, 2 younger brothers and 1 younger sister. She was the oldest child in the family. Her parents favored boys over girls, and they doted on her 2 younger brothers. She and her younger sister did all the chores. What's wrong with you? Su'er was standing in the yard pulling the leaves, when she heard a voice behind her. Su'er turned her head and saw Du Guxiu standing at the door. She suppressed her anger and asked, Why are you up? Du Guxiu was bitten by a poisonous snake on the mountain last time, and he had been recuperating for the past few days. Du Guxiu was at least 1.85 meters tall. He was wearing a coarse hemp garment, and his face was still unshaven. He looked quite wild and beautiful. You've been standing outside for a long time. Did someone bully you? Du Guxiu asked. Su'er went forward to support Du Guxiu. It's that Ruan Xiaoyang. She came to collect rent. How can our village afford the rent now? The Ruan family is so rich, but they still exploit us. Do you think it's easy for us to grow crops? Su'er kept complaining, and Du Guxiu listened quietly. When Su'er went to cook, he whistled outside. A black shadow quietly jumped in through the window. Master, go and check on Ruan Xiaoyang. Yes. The black shadow quietly left, just like how it came. The other people in the village saw Shisheng's face. They were afraid that he would settle the bill with them for that day. Knowing that only Su'er's family had to pay the rent, they didn't dare to say anything. Shisheng asked Su'er to pay the rent alone, and she was definitely unwilling. The next day, Shisheng heard that Su'er beat up the person who was sent to collect the rent. Of course, it wasn't Su'er who beat him up, but Du Guxiu. The steward who collected the rent came back with a bloody nose and a swollen face. He cried with snot and tears. Miss, that Su'er is too arrogant. Not only did she not pay the rent, she even asked someone to beat me up. Look at how badly I've been beaten up. What did she say? With the male lead by her side, she could give him anything. She said that she didn't have any food, but she only had 1 life. The steward gritted his teeth and said, Miss, listen to her. What nonsense is she saying? She's acting shamelessly. Wasn't the female lead acting shamelessly? Most of the female leads had this skill. It was still the same saying, shameless people are invincible. Shisheng waved his hand. Go and get the money. Rest well for the next few days. When the steward heard that he could get the money, he didn't have time to complain. He was full of gratitude. Thank you, Mississippi. Su'er and Shisheng acted shamelessly, and Shisheng could only laugh. It was as if no one knew how to act shamelessly. When I act shamelessly, even I'm afraid of myself. Shisheng asked someone to take back Su'er's family's land. Since they didn't pay the rent, then they shouldn't plant it anymore. Su'er naturally wouldn't accept it. Since she couldn't reason with them, she went straight to the Ruan residence. Ruan Xiaoyang, come out. Su'er pounded on the door of the Ruan residence. Her voice was so loud that everyone on the street could hear her. It was still early, and there were only merchants who were preparing to set up their stalls. When they heard that someone was causing trouble in front of the Ruan residence, they all gathered around. Ruan Xiaoyang, come out. Stop pretending to be a coward. Others may be afraid of you, but I, Su'er, am not. Ruan Xiaoyang. When the onlookers heard Su'er's shameless words, they were all curious and whispered to the people next to them. Creak. The door of the Ruan residence slowly opened, and Qiu Shui stood inside with a few servants. Where's Wan Xiaoyang? Su-er immediately walked inside. Ask her to come out. The servants behind Qiu Shui came out in a line and blocked Su-er's way. Qiu Shui snorted coldly. Su-er, is the Ruan residence a place where you can just barge in? Do you think you can see our miss just because you want to? Su-er was just a girl. How could she be a match for a man? 2 servants carried her out of the door. Qiu Shui walked out with small steps and ordered the servants, send her to the magistrate's office. Just say that she's trespassing. Yes. Su-er was dumbfounded. She only started to struggle after being carried down the steps. She shouted loudly. What are you doing? Let go of me. Let go of me. Wan Xiaoyang, come out if you dare. Let go of me. Disperse. Qiu Shui chased away the people outside the Ruan residence. Asterisk, come on, give me a ticket. Otherwise I'll punish you severely. Chapter 706. Shisheng sent Su-er to the Yamen. Dugu Xiu received the news and immediately went to the Yamen to save her. Dugu Xiu wanted to save Su-er and leave. After all, it was not the right time to expose his whereabouts. Who knew that Su-er would sue Shisheng? The county magistrate had just been threatened by the prince regent. He did not dare to delay and immediately sent Shisheng to the Yamen. In the original plot, Wan Xiaoyang could not come back alive. How could this happen? Shisheng went to the Yamen with a gossipy heart. He was curious about what the female lead wanted to sue her for. In the Yamen's lobby, Su-er stood in the middle. Dugu Xiu stood beside her. He did not kneel or sit down. The county magistrate sat under the plaque with the words justice and honesty. He looked serious but kept glancing at Dugu Xiu. The prince regent was standing under the plaque. The powerful prince regent. His legs were weak under the table. Sir. Shisheng curtsied obediently. Her movements were not standard, but there was nothing wrong with it. After all, she was a girl, and she was quite pretty. She was a delicate girl, so the magistrate could not say anything. Su-er looked up at Shisheng. Shisheng turned his head and smiled. His meaning was unclear. Su-er suddenly felt cold all over, as if she was being stared at by a ferocious beast. She broke out in cold sweat. Dugu Xiu had been sizing her up since Shisheng came in. He had seen all kinds of young ladies in the capital. The shrewish, the spoiled, the well-behaved, he had seen them all. But it was his first time seeing someone like Shisheng, who was called to the county yamen without the slightest bit of curiosity or panic. She only had a calm face. He had information about the Ruan family. Her parents had died early, leaving her as a daughter in a huge family business. Shisheng glanced at Dugu Xiu. The male lead was a powerful character. He was an unfavored prince who was sent to the border to become the prince regent. Even the emperor had to call him uncle. Shisheng lowered his head and smiled. The harder it was to pass the game, the more exciting it was. It was more interesting to break the couple. You are not playing games. These people are not NPCs. The system was going crazy. Who is it? The county magistrate forced himself to be calm as he picked up the gavel and asked loudly, Wan Xiaoyang. She really didn't want to answer this retarded question. The county magistrate pointed at Su-er. Su-er, a villager of Baiha village, is suing you for forcefully taking back her land before the lease contract expired. Is this true? Shisheng understood that she had been waiting for him here. That's true. Shisheng nodded. The magistrate looked at Dugu Xiu and coughed. Since there is a lease contract and it hasn't expired, why do you want to take back the land? Shisheng shrugged and said in a relaxed tone, I don't want to rent it anymore. The county magistrate choked. There are laws in our dynasty. If you forcefully take back the land before the lease contract expires, you will have to pay compensation. Shisheng said calmly. It's clearly written on the lease that you have to pay me rent during the lease period. Su-er can't pay the rent, so why can't I take it back? Su-er immediately retorted. You've already asked the other villagers to slow down. Why do you want my family to pay immediately? Shisheng rolled his eyes at Su-er. It's my business who I want to slow down. Do you want to force me to slow down? You're being unfair. Damn. What kind of thoughts did the female lead have? Yes, it's unfair. What about it? I don't like you, so I want you to pay now. Shisheng said arrogantly. I have the land, so I'm the biggest. Bam. The gavel was slammed on the table. The county magistrate frowned and scolded. It's improper to be so noisy in court. Su'er, tell me if you haven't paid the rent. Su'er opened her mouth and her eyes darted around. Not long ago, bandits came and robbed our village of food. Sir, it's not that I don't want to pay, but I really can't. Bandits? Where are they from? Su'er immediately said. They're from Heifeng Gang. This group of bandits usually wreak havoc in the surrounding villages. This time, they stole so much of our food. Sir, what do you want me to pay? Heifeng Gang had always been the biggest problem in Baihe County. However, a few days ago, the county magistrate received news that the entire Heifeng Gang had been burned down. He sent people to the mountains to check, but they hadn't returned yet. He didn't know the exact situation. Miss Ruan, why don't you slow down? The county magistrate hesitated. This was someone that the regent had personally come to ask for. If he didn't speak up for her, wouldn't he offend the regent? Why should I? Shisheng asked stubbornly. The county magistrate said sternly. Didn't you slow down the rent for the other tenants? It's my business who I want to slow down. Shisheng snorted coldly. The county magistrate was speechless. The other party was the owner, and it wasn't like they were taking the land for no reason. He couldn't speak blindly, right? Therefore, the county magistrate could only look at Du Guxiu. If you don't want to rent, then don't rent. Who cares about your land? Su'er suddenly said. Ruan Xiaoyang, just you wait. She didn't believe that with her ability, she wouldn't be able to survive in this world. You think I'll wait just because you want me to? Shisheng sneered, not bothering to hide his sarcasm. How shameless. Even if I wait, you can't do anything to me. You. Du Guxiu pulled Su'er and said ambiguously. Miss Ruan, don't be too ruthless. Shisheng's eyes curved, and his light voice fell into Du Guxiu's ears. Every word seemed to smash into his heart. Ruthless? You haven't seen how ruthless I can be. Do you want to see it? I guarantee that you'll never forget it. Damn it, she was taking her own things, and she actually called it ruthless. Shisheng sneered. Since there's nothing else, I'll take my leave. The county magistrate wanted to shout out, How dare you? But Du Guxiu didn't say anything. He could only hold it in and watch Shisheng leave. She dared to talk to the regent like that. This girl from the Ruan family was really something. The county magistrate looked at Du Guxiu. He couldn't sit still, and wanted to slide off the table. There was a saying in the capital. If the regent frowned, there would be millions of corpses. This sentence was an exaggeration, but the extent of the regent's ferocity could be glimpsed. The county magistrate seemed to have seen the end of the Ruan family. Du Guxiu ignored the county magistrate who was scared out of his wits and walked out of the government office with Su'er. You. Su'er looked at the government office behind her, and then looked at Du Guxiu. She hesitated and asked, Who are you? She could see that the county magistrate was afraid of him. Since she saved him, she knew that he wasn't an ordinary person. His temperament couldn't be compared to ordinary people. But she only thought of him as a rich man and didn't think of anything else. But today, Su'er found that the person she saved was not as simple as a rich man. I'll tell you later. Su'er's heart was itching. Can't you tell me now? No. Su'er was disappointed. Okay then. Who was he? She couldn't tell him that he was a high-ranking official in the court? Or was he the son of a high-ranking official? Well, he was so young. It was very likely that he was the son of a high-ranking official. God. She even asked him to help her with her work. Su'er immediately smiled and said, Thank you for today. I'll cook something delicious for you when we go back. Asterisk votes, votes, votes. Chapter 707. The news that all the bandits in the Heifeng stockade were burned to death spread slowly. Everyone in the surrounding area was shocked. A malignant tumor was taken care of just like that? All kinds of guesses were spread. 1 spread to 10, 10 spread to 100. In the end, no one knew what the original version was. Everyone thought that it must be a chivalrous hero, who couldn't stand the Hafing Stockade's bandits bullying the villagers. Everyone was grateful and worshipped this mysterious hero. If these people knew that the Hafing Stockade was destroyed because Shisheng didn't want to leave any trouble for himself, what would they think? Shisheng was the hero, and was now listening to Qiu Shui's report about taking back Suyu's farmland. Suyu had already said it in front of the county magistrate. Even if she regretted it later, it was too late. She could only return the farmland to the Ruan family. The Su family didn't treat Suyu well anymore. "Oh right, miss, have you heard about the Hafing Stockade?" Qiu Shui asked after she finished reporting. Shisheng lay on the armchair with his eyes closed. His long eyelashes cast a fan-shaped shadow on his fair skin. "Yes. Miss, who do you think destroyed the Hafing Stockade?" Qiu Shui was very curious. When Miss was captured, she said that she was saved by someone. Could it be the person who saved Miss? Qiu Shui couldn't stop thinking about it. "Me." Shisheng's light pink lips opened. Bang! A loud sound came from outside, drowning out Shisheng's voice. Qiu Shui ran to the door to take a look. "What's wrong with you? Be careful. If you can't carry it, get more people." Qiu Shui went out to instruct them. When she was done, she had already forgotten about her question. To Shisheng, there was only one word to describe the ancient life: boring. Other than eating and sleeping, it was all about eating and sleeping. It was like raising pigs. Oh, and they could go shopping. This dynasty seemed to be quite tolerant of women. Unlike some backgrounds, only married women could walk the streets. Shisheng walked from one end of the street to the other end, and then turned back. "Miss, what are you doing?" Qiu Shui accompanied Shisheng as he walked back and forth. She was confused. What were they doing on the street? How boring. Shisheng raised his head and sighed. If the female lead didn't come looking for trouble, and had nothing to do, wouldn't she be bored? The corner of Autumn Water's mouth twitched, and she suggested, "I heard that there are a few tea parties recently. Why don't you go take a look, young miss?" "Tea party? Drinking tea?" "Lead the way." Shisheng thought for a while and waved his hand. The tea party was a group of scholars competing in poems and couplets in the tea house. Because most of them were young talents, there were also many young ladies from noble families here. The tea house had 2 floors. The noble ladies were on the 2nd floor. The 2nd floor was draped with light gauze to hide the true appearance of these noble ladies. The men were on the 2nd floor. Shisheng went upstairs and heard a group of girls exclaiming, "I'm afraid that young master he will definitely win today. Young master he is overflowing with talent, but no one can surpass him." Shisheng followed the girls' gazes and looked down. He happened to see a young man in the middle of a crowd. He looked rather delicate and had a strong scholarly aura. He had a gentle expression as he spoke to the people around him. "That's He Ting, the 2nd young master of the He family," Qiu Shui explained to Shisheng softly. "He's been smart since he was young. I heard that he's going to the capital to take the imperial exam next year." The He family's ancestors used to be high-ranking officials. After the change of dynasty, the He family fell to this place and started a silk business. Their family's wealth might not be comparable to the Ruan family's, but the He family ran businesses outside and had a lot of connections. Shisheng's gaze only paused on He Ting for a few seconds before it landed on the person beside him. "Who's sitting beside He Ting?" Qiu Shui followed Shisheng's gaze and looked over. "That's the eldest young master of the He family, He Qing. He Qing's health isn't good, so the He family rarely lets him out. It's strange today." From Shisheng's perspective, he could see that He Qing's complexion was indeed not good. There was a tinge of green in his paleness, as if he was terminally ill. The people around him didn't want to interact with him. Shisheng asked He Qing alone. He felt that He Qing's gaze was a little strange. It was too empty, as if he was a zombie. Clap, clap, clap. Enthusiastic applause suddenly sounded. Shisheng retracted his gaze from He Qing and looked at He Ting, who had attracted everyone's applause. He Ting thanked him very politely and turned to help He Qing up to leave. Once He Ting left, the people downstairs dispersed in 2s and 3s. The ladies upstairs seemed to have lost interest and left the tea house. Shisheng stood at the same spot, obviously in a daze. Even after they left the tea house, Shisheng still looked like he was deep in thought. Miss, don't tell me you're interested in the second young master of the He family? Qiu Shui asked tentatively. Miss was about the right age to talk about marriage, so Qiu Shui didn't think much of it. But the He family, they didn't get along well with the Ruan family. The He family would never agree to let the second young master of the He family marry into the Ruan family. Most importantly, the second young master of the He family already had a fiancé. Shisheng regained his senses and asked, "What did you say?" I said, "Don't you like the second young master of the He family?" Qiu Shui lowered her voice and asked, "Shisheng, which eye of yours saw I like the second young master of the He family?" Shisheng rolled his eyes at Qiu Shui and walked back in big strides. When he passed by an alley, Shisheng suddenly heard a familiar voice. She paused and walked into the alley under Qiu Shui's confused gaze. "I didn't agree, and I won't agree. You should look for them for what they did." "We don't care. Master bought you. Hurry up and come back with us. Master won't treat you badly. You'll live a good life with Master. What are you unhappy about? Move." So you broke free from those people. "I didn't agree. You refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Ah. You're breaking the law. I'm going to report you. Let go of me." Suyu had lost her land. The Su family hated Suyu. Their family was poor to begin with. Now that they lost their land, how were they going to survive? Father Su and Mother Su had the thought of selling Suyu to someone else. Now that Suyu was pretty, she could be sold at a much higher price than before. Father Su and Mother Su drugged Suyu and sent her to the town. When Suyu found out that she was sold again, she was furious. She could forget about the first time, but now there was a second time. So she ran out when those people weren't paying attention. But before she could run into the street, she was caught up. Shisheng silently watched the female lead being caught. It was all a trap. There was no such trap in the plot, but the male lead would definitely come to save the damsel in distress. Even if the male lead didn't come, the supporting male lead would come. Who was the supporting male lead? Yes. He Ting was one of the supporting male leads. "Miss, it's Suyu," Qiu Shui said softly when she saw who it was. Shisheng turned around and walked back. He pursed his lips and said, "I don't know her." "She's Suyu?" Qiu Shui. "Miss, you'll lose me if you do this." "Miss, wait for me. Asterisk little fairy, it's cold. Please warm me up." Chai emoji. Chapter 708. Suyu was really saved by He Ting and brought back to the He residence. Suyu didn't want to go back to the Su family, so she became He Ting's personal servant. Because she was literate and seemed to be well educated, the people of the He residence actually didn't reject her, and liked her quite a bit. Suyu quickly became familiar with the He residence. He Ting always brought her along when he went out. He Ting either didn't bring anyone with him when he went out, or he brought his servant. He had never brought a personal servant before. This news spread quickly in Baihe County. Everyone said that Suyu was shameless and seduced He Ting. Shisheng heard about Suyu from these people. Suyu even opened a shop. She said, "What? Fragrance what?" "A perfume shop," someone added. "I heard that it smells really good when you put it on." TSK, who knows if it's a lie? She's a girl who shows her face in public and doesn't do her job properly. Master, he is really too much. How can he let her do whatever she wants? Didn't they say it was really good? Let's go and take a look. Sure, let's see what Suyu is up to. A few well-dressed girls walked past Shisheng and walked towards another street. Shisheng played with the paper fan on the stall. When the girls disappeared, she put down the fan and turned around slowly. "Let's go and take a look at the female lead." "What female lead?" Qiu Shui was confused. Why was Mrs. Words getting more and more mysterious? She couldn't understand. "Suyu." Shisheng knocked on Qiu Shui's forehead. "Let's go." Qiu Shui touched her forehead and ran to catch up with Shisheng. "Miss, why did you call Suyu the female lead?" "What's a female lead? Don't ask nonsense." Qiu Shui's lips twitched. "Miss, you're younger than me." "Really?" Shisheng thought for a while. The host was younger than Qiu Shui. She pulled a long face and said seriously, My mental age is older than yours. Qiu Shui was even more confused. What mental age? Miss, what nonsense are you talking about? Why couldn't she understand? Su Yu's shop was given to her by He Ting. It was located in the most prosperous area of Baihe County. The rouge shop next to it belonged to the Ruan family. At this moment, the shop assistants of the Ruan family's shop were all standing outside, looking at the crowded shop next door. Ahem. Autumn Water stood beside them and cleared her throat. The two assistants immediately turned around. Miss Qiu Shui. Miss, you're here. Autumn Water turned sideways, revealing the Shisheng behind her. The two men were shocked and hurriedly bowed. Mississippi, Shisheng nodded and looked at the crowd next door. Suer's voice could be faintly heard. Shisheng retracted his gaze and asked the shop assistant, "How long has she been in business?" The waiter bowed. 3 days. How's business? The two men looked at each other and pushed each other. Neither of them were willing to say anything. Qiu Shui immediately pulled a long face. Young miss asked you a question. Answer truthfully. Yes. On the first day, there were only a lot of onlookers, but she let people try her things. On the second day, there were people buying her things. Today, people came before she opened. One of the assistants took out a small porcelain bottle from his sleeve. We sneaked in and bought a bottle. It smells nice. Shisheng took the bottle and opened it to smell. The fragrance of lotus flowers wafted into his nose. There was liquid inside and it was a little sticky. When he rubbed it on his hand, it didn't seem sticky after it dried. Instead, it was very smooth. Amazing, my female lead. You can still make something like this in ancient times. Move. Move. A rude scolding sounded from behind the crowd. A few servants separated the onlookers and carried a sedan chair to Suer's shop. Suer was teaching someone how to take care of her clothes when there was a sudden change. She had to come out. Brother, what's the matter? Suer looked at the sedan chair and asked in a neither servile nor overbearing tone. What's the matter? You still have the nerve to ask. What are you selling? The servant pushed Suer without any explanation. Suer staggered and almost fell to the ground. She endured it. She was the seller now, so she had to smile. Brother, is there a problem with my things? What problem? The servant sneered and went to the back of the sedan chair. He pulled a veiled woman and tore off her veil, revealing a face full of red spots. Ah! The girls around covered their mouths and screamed. They all looked away, not daring to look at the woman. The servant pulled the woman and said loudly, Look, this is what happened after using your things. Luckily, it wasn't our young miss who used it. If it was our young miss, how are you going to compensate her? Suer's heart skipped a beat. There shouldn't be a problem with her things. Who would dare to use something like this after using it? What are you thinking? Everyone look. The servant pulled the woman to show the people outside. Look, this is what happened after using her things. She's not selling anything. She's trying to take someone's life. The girls who had already bought the things were frightened by the woman's red face. They all covered their faces in horror. God, I used it yesterday. Do I have a rash? Help me take a look. I used it too. Do I have a rash? The crowd was in a mess. Suer calmed down and asked to take a closer look at the woman. The servant didn't refuse and let Suer take a look. Young miss, is there really a problem with Suer's things? Qiu Shui tiptoed and looked inside. How would I know? Shisheng blew. But looking at her, even if there's nothing wrong with her, there will be a problem in the end. Qiu Shui asked in confusion. What do you mean? She'll be envied. It's all a trap. I've already seen the truth. Qiu Shui suddenly understood. In business, if someone was jealous, someone would frame someone. It wasn't like the Ruan family hadn't encountered it before. Suer was so high profile and was so close to He Ting. There must be people who didn't like her. What else do you have to say? The servant's voice sounded again. When did she use my products? Suer couldn't tell how the woman's rash came about. She could only ask about the process. Logically speaking, the things she made were all natural. It was much purer than the cosmetics in the modern world. This shouldn't have happened. Last night, the servant said. Our young miss bought it, and let her try it first. She looked like this when she woke up in the morning. Did she eat anything? The servant was impatient. Why are you asking so many questions? She became like this because she used your products. Tell me, what should we do now? Suer's face was calm. I have to figure out the ins and outs of the situation before I can be sure that this lady didn't become like this after using my product. I can't admit that there's a problem with my product before I figure it out. # Black Rice Flavored Tickets today # December 20th, 2016 Book Review Baby Sinyan. Chapter 709. Ding Quan. A delicate voice like that of an oriole came from the sedan chair that had been silent all this time. A fair hand lifted the curtain of the sedan chair. Miss. Ding Quan greeted her respectfully. The person in the palanquin was wearing a pink dress. She sat upright in the palanquin, and her phoenix eyes swept over the people outside. Her eyes were filled with disdain. You can't even solve such a small matter after so long. What's the use of this young miss raising you? She paused and looked at Suer. She snorted in disdain. It's you. Suer recognized the person. Smash it, the woman ordered. The people around the sedan chair immediately rushed into the shop and smashed everything they saw. Stop, what are you doing? Suer wanted to stop them, but she was pushed to the side. She could only watch as the shop was smashed. Who is that? Shirshing didn't recognize the person in the sedan chair, but the people around him seemed to know her. They looked at the sedan chair with envy and jealousy. She smashed the female lead's shop the moment she arrived. She was definitely a cannon fodder. Miss Ding from the Ding family, Ding Xiang, Qiu Shui answered. She's He Ting's fiancée. Shirsheng understood. No wonder she came here with such fanfare. Everyone in Baihe County knew that Suer and He Ting were close. As his fiancée, she had to do something. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to live up to her status as his fiancée. Miss, I'm done. Ding Quan ran to Ding Xiang's sedan chair to ask for praise. Suer glared at the two of them angrily. She clenched her fists. Ding Xiang put on the airs of a rich young lady. She raised her chin arrogantly. Suer, be a good servant. Don't think about these unrealistic things all day. Ding Xiang's words had a double meaning. Suer naturally understood. She had been punished by an unruly young lady in the He family. The ancient society was full of evil. As a servant, she wasn't worth mentioning at all. Miss Ding. Suer suppressed the anger that was about to explode. Did you really smash my shop because there's something wrong with my things? She wanted to earn money. She couldn't let Ding Xiang ruin her reputation. Why else? Look at what she has become. My young miss didn't take your life. It's all because my young miss is generous and kind. Ding Quan immediately followed up and pushed the woman out. Her face was covered in rashes, and it made people's hair stand on end. Lilac pinched her handkerchief, covering her mouth as she chuckled. Suer, what qualifications do you think you have for me to do anything to you? Let's go. The servant who lifted the curtain for Ding Xiang immediately lowered the curtain to block Suer's line of sight. Suer's chest heaved up and down as her breathing became chaotic. It was obvious that she was extremely angry. The sedan chair was lifted up and was about to leave. He Ting rushed over with his men and blocked Ding Xiang's sedan chair. Through the crowd, He Ting could see the mess in the shop. He Ting, who had always been gentle, had a cold expression on his face. Miss Ding, may I know why you destroyed my shop? Lilac quickly lifted the curtain of the palanquin. There was no longer any arrogance on her face, only a bashful look. Young master He. Miss Ding, I'm asking you a question. He Ting ignored Ding Xiang's love. When Ding Xiang heard He Ting's voice just now, she was filled with joy and didn't listen to what he was asking. Ding Quan, who was beside her, immediately went forward to convey the message to Ding Xiang. Ding Xiang's expression changed slightly and her eyes turned red in an instant. She said aggrievedly, Young master He, it was Suer who sold me fake things. Ding Xiang pointed at the veiled woman. Look, she's already in this state. If I used it, how could I face others? He Ting had already heard about what had happened when he came. He glanced at the woman. So many girls have used the things that I are sold. Why is it that only your servant is in trouble? Ding Xiang's face turned pale immediately. Her lips trembled as she said, Su'er. Su'er is trying to harm me. No, I have to report this to the authorities. Ding Quan, go. Shisheng laughed unkindly. This Ding Xiang was quite smart. By saying this, she was magnanimous enough to show that she did not do anything. She could also make He Ting feel uncertain and unsure if there was something wrong with Su Yu's item. Out of his protection for Su'er, he definitely wouldn't let Ding Xiang report this to the authorities. As expected, He Ting stopped Ding Quan. Young master, Su'er definitely doesn't like me. She treated me like that when I went to her residence previously. This time she did it again. Ding Xiang started crying as she spoke. Her tear-stained face made the men around her feel sorry for her. The matter hasn't been clarified yet. I wouldn't do such a thing. He Ting glanced at Su'er. Su'er shook her head at him, feeling wronged. There was nothing wrong with her things. In the end, He Ting was kidnapped by Ding Xiang. He Ting left 2 people behind to help Su'er pack her things. The onlookers could tell that Ding Xiang was looking for trouble. It had nothing to do with Su'er's things. Hence, after Ding Xiang left, the crowd gradually dispersed. Some people then saw Shisheng standing on the steps of the shop next door. Why is Miss Ruan here? What else can it be? Her shop sells rouge and face powder. That person pointed at Su'er's shop. That person immediately understood. Since yesterday, Su'er's shop had been very popular. No one went to the Ruan family's shop. As the head of the Ruan family, it was normal for her to come and take a look. Whoever marries Miss Ruan in the future will have accumulated good karma from their ancestors. That's right. They have so many assets for no reason. If my son wasn't still young, I would definitely send my son into the Ruan family. What are you talking about? Qiu Shui scolded. Those people immediately lowered their heads and quickly walked past Shisheng. Qiu Shui glared at their backs and turned to comfort Shisheng. Miss, don't listen to their nonsense. They only know how to gossip. Shisheng crossed her arms. She didn't look like a rich young lady at all. Instead, she looked like a shrew on the streets. She said arrogantly, they are right. Whoever marries me in the future will have accumulated good karma from their ancestors. Qiu Shui. The crowd dispersed. Su'er stood in the mess and looked pitiful. The people He Ting left behind started to pack their things silently. They didn't dare to talk to Su'er. Su'er, all the best. Su'er composed herself and made a cheering gesture. She turned around and met Shisheng's gaze. Her eyes were very beautiful. They were clear and bright, but she didn't see any human emotions in them. She only saw emptiness. She was clearly looking at her, but she felt like she wasn't looking at her at all. She was only looking at a ball of air. A ball of air that could be seen everywhere. Anger surged in Su'er's heart. These people were all standing high. She was just born into a good family. What was there to be proud of? She blurted out. Wan Xiaoyang, are you here to laugh at me? Asterisk update. Update for the rich little princess Susu. Chapter 710. Do you look like a joke? Shisheng tilted his head and asked. If that's what you think, then I can't do anything about it. Su'er's face darkened. I won't let you look down on me. Wan Xiaoyang, just you wait. She will definitely be able to live well here. Wan Xiaoyang, just you wait. If other people could transmigrate, so could she. Shisheng's eyes curved into crescents. His smile was very faint, like ripples on the surface of a lake. Before it could spread, it had already returned to normal. Under Su'er's confused gaze, Shisheng turned and left. It wasn't easy to make people look up to you or look down on you. If you had the time to shout slogans, you might as well do something practical. Success was something that had to be done. Su'er's shop still opened in the end. Although Ding Xiang had made a scene, as the female lead, she had the charm of a female lead and quickly gained a new wave of fans. The Ruan family shop was about to close. After the shopkeeper reported to Qiu Shui reported to Shisheng. Shisheng didn't care. It's just a shop. Qiu Shui was speechless. Miss, if old master heard what you said, he would jump out and beat you to death. It wasn't easy to accumulate the family business. How could it be lost just like that? Didn't you say that you couldn't let the Ruan family be lost in your hands? Shisheng had no choice but to change the shop to sell sesame seed cakes. Qiu Shui was speechless. He might as well squander. Why would a good shop sell sesame seed cakes? Then why don't we sell stinky tofu? Did stinky tofu exist in this world? Reality proved that it existed. After all, this was a world created by novels. It was normal to have cannons and planes. The more imaginative the world was, the more wonderful it was. Hence, Shisheng was nagged by Qiu Shui again. Miss, don't think about it so casually. Our shop can't be ruined like this. Shisheng looked innocent. Then how should we ruin it? Qiu Shui was speechless. It's not for you to ruin it. All right, we'll sell stinky tofu. Shisheng waved his hand. A good rouge shop was changed to sell stinky tofu. This became a hot topic in Baihe County. However, they soon discovered that Su Er's business was getting worse and worse. And it was all because of the stinky tofu next door. Miss Su, the shop next door sells stinky tofu every day. We can't even do business here. The shop assistant that Su Er had hired complained bitterly. Their shop was originally filled with fragrant aroma, but now, only the smell of stinky tofu was left. Which girl would want to buy things in such an environment? Su Er rolled up her sleeves and gritted her teeth. I'll go talk to them. Su Er walked out of the shop and walked next door aggressively. The waiter next door was frying stinky tofu, and the smell was so strong that Su Er didn't want to go near it. God knows how much she hated this smell. Su Er pinched her nose and walked forward. She looked into the store and saw that there were quite a few people eating. Where's Ruan Xiaoyang? Su Er rushed up the stairs and shouted at the waiter. The waiter skillfully scooped up the golden yellow stinky tofu from the frying pan and placed it on a plate beside him. He didn't even raise his head as he replied. Of course the young miss is in the residence. Su Er choked. She pointed at the pot of oil and said angrily, the smell is so strong. It's affecting our business. You can open another shop. This sentence didn't come from the waiter. It came from beside Su Er. She turned her head and saw Shisheng walking over with autumn water. Su Er glared at Shisheng and hurriedly went down the stairs. Ruan Xiaoyang, can't you see me doing well? Do you have to go against me? Shisheng glared back at her. Be reasonable. You're the one who caused my rouge shop to close down first. Survival of the fittest. Su Er was still pinching her nose. Her voice changed a little. Your rouge shop can't sell because it's not as good as mine. You can make better rouge, but what you're doing now is considered malicious revenge. You said it yourself. Survival of the fittest. Shisheng threw the words back at Su Er. She couldn't even open her shop anymore. Wasn't it normal for her to change her profession? How could changing her profession be considered malicious revenge? You. Su Er pointed at Shisheng. Fine, just you wait. Su Er flung her sleeves and left. Miss. Autumn Water looked at Su Er's back view worriedly. Why did she feel like she was going to do something terrible? Shisheng snorted and didn't answer Autumn Water. He continued walking forward. Miss Ruan. She had just taken 2 steps when she was stopped by someone. He Ting strode towards her. Miss Ruan, may I treat you to some tea? What for? Shisheng was a little fierce. He Ting was shocked. All the rich young ladies he had interacted with were educated and reasonable. They spoke softly and gently. Even Su Er only spoke casually. She wasn't so fierce. It was as if everyone owed her money. Ahem, it's about the shop, He Ting said. You're a scholar. Why do you care about the shop instead of studying? Miss Ruan. He Ting's mouth twitched. He looked around. This isn't a good place to talk. Can we go somewhere else? No, I'm afraid that you'll do something to me. Shisheng turned around and put his hands on his hips. Just say it here. If not, don't say it. Hold it in. He Ting. Who wants to do something to you? Autumn Water had a headache. Miss Image, you're a rich young lady. Are you going to scold me with your hands on your hips? He Ting had never interacted with Shisheng before. He didn't know that he was so difficult to talk to. As a cultured scholar, He Ting couldn't disregard his image like Shisheng. He took a few steps forward. Miss Wan, can you change your shop to something else? Look at you. You're making it impossible for other shops to do business. We're all doing our own business. Why are you interfering with my Wan family? What are you doing? Which rule says that you can't sell stinky tofu? Which rule says that you can't open a stinky tofu shop here? Since you don't have any, why are you arguing with me? She didn't open a shop in his house. Why are you interfering? If you want to be a hero in front of a beauty, by the entire street if you have the ability. What's wrong with stinky tofu? Aren't there still people eating it? Ting was stunned. This woman. Why didn't she act like a rich young lady at all? Mississippi Autumn Water pulled Shisheng and frowned. Keep your voice down. Take care of your image. If this went on, how could Miss get married in the future? The surrounding citizens all looked in their direction, pointing at them as they discussed in hushed whispers. Suer probably heard the commotion and ran out of the shop. Second young master. What are you talking to her about? She doesn't care about other people's feelings. Why should I care about other people's feelings? I have to care about your feelings. Do you think you're I's parents? There are so many people in the world. If you care about other people's feelings, how can you live? Idiot. Suer didn't reply. Her face darkened as she pulled Ting's sleeve and walked towards the shop. Asterisk update. Update for the nouveau riche, underwear PS. What a shameful name. Is there more? It's dark. It's time to dream. Finally, happy winter solstice. Don't you want to give me a gift package? Pitiful. Chapter 7:11. Shisheng was summoned to the court by the yamen early in the morning. Shisheng yawned and looked confused. These people were so annoying that they wouldn't even let him sleep. There was a woman kneeling in the hall, crying softly. Shisheng was even more annoyed by her crying and wanted to kill her with his sword. Shisheng glanced at her and yawned again. Why did you summon me to the yamen? To eat breakfast? Eat breakfast? The county magistrate had a deep impression of Shisheng. Last time he dared to give the regent a hard time, and now he was looking down on the court. Bam! The county magistrate slammed his gavel. How dare you? Why don't you kneel in front of me? Are you worthy? Shisheng rolled his eyes and pointed at a yamen runner. You bring me a chair. The yamen runner was speechless. Do you think this is an inn and I'm a waiter? How dare you? The county magistrate had wanted to say this for a long time. Wan Xiaoyang is looking down on the court. Give her 10 paddles first. Without the regent, the county magistrate was much more confident and shouted loudly. Everyone in the hall could hear him. Shisheng raised his eyebrows slightly. Sir, you dare to hit me? Why wouldn't I dare? The county magistrate was angry. What are you waiting for? Beat her. Shisheng took out a brick from nowhere and threw it at the county magistrate. It hit the county magistrate's table with a loud sound. The county magistrate leaned back with a funny expression. The whole hall was silent. Even the woman kneeling on the ground stopped crying. Next time it won't be your table that gets hit, but your head. Shisheng clapped his hands and took the chair from the private advisor. He moved to the side and sat down like a boss. Why did you summon me? The county magistrate swallowed hard and looked at the brick for a long time. He slammed the table and shouted angrily. Wan Xiaoyang, do you still have the law in your eyes? How dare you hit me? She even dared to threaten him. Was Wan Xiaoyang crazy? Shisheng dug his ears and said fearlessly, I already hit you. What do you want? How is it? Attacking an official of the imperial court is a capital offense. The county magistrate was so angry that he slammed the table. Oh. What are you for? Wan Xiaoyang, how dare you? Beat her. He didn't believe that he couldn't deal with a troublemaker. However, the private advisor waved his hand and told them not to move. He leaned over and whispered a few words into the county magistrate's ear. The county magistrate's expression kept changing. The Shisheng raised his head and looked straight at the county magistrate. Do you still want to try him? The county magistrate was about to order his men to beat this unruly citizen, but he choked back his words. He quickly let out 2 heavy breaths. Wait a while before you take care of her. The magistrate straightened his body and slammed the gavel on the table. Madam Sun, what grievances do you have? Speak quickly. Madam Sun, who had just stopped crying, began to sob again, intermittently telling the reason. Her husband, Sun Ergu, did not return home for a long time last night. Worried, Madam Sun went to look for him. On the way home, she found Sun Ergu, who was already dead. Madam Sun immediately reported it to the magistrate. Sun Ergu was last seen at your stinky tofu shop. There are witnesses. The autopsy results also showed that he died of poisoning. Wan Xiaoyang, what do you have to say? The Shisheng was silent. She was being implicated even when she was lying down? Where's the physical evidence? The county magistrate waved his hand, and someone immediately came up with a tray. This is the residue that was found in the backyard of your shop. It hasn't been cleaned up yet. The Shisheng was still calm. Oh. The county magistrate was speechless. You still have the cheek to say oh? The county magistrate slammed the gavel on the table and questioned in a loud voice. Why did you murder Sun Ergu? The Shisheng rolled his eyes. Then you'll have to ask the person who killed him. I didn't even know who Sun Ergu was. Why would I kill him? The county magistrate was burning with anger. Wan Xiaoyang, how can you talk nonsense in court? There are witnesses and physical evidence. If you confess, you'll be lenient. If you resist, you'll be punished severely. Why did you murder Sun Ergu? I say. The Shisheng dragged his words. There were so many people in the shop. Anyone could have poisoned him. Why do you have to say that it was me? Did you take a bribe? Wan Xiaoyang. The county magistrate shouted. Slandering an official of the imperial court is an additional crime. Why are you so agitated if you didn't do it? If you don't do anything wrong, you won't be afraid of ghosts knocking on your door. Sir, you have a guilty conscience. The Shisheng looked at the county magistrate with a faint smile. This county magistrate was not a good person. In the plot, because he took a bribe, he went against the female lead. In the end, his whole family was executed. Wan Xiaoyang, we're talking about you poisoning him. Don't confuse us. The county magistrate calmed down. Someone saw you poisoning him with his own eyes. Bring a witness. The witness was one of her shop assistants. When he saw the Shisheng, he trembled, lowered his head, and knelt on the ground. He told the county magistrate in detail when he saw the Shisheng and how she poisoned him. All right, I'll take it that you have a point. The Shisheng could roughly guess who the culprit was. You admit to your crime? The county magistrate immediately asked. The Shisheng looked at the county magistrate as if he was looking at an idiot. Now there's a very important question. Why did I kill Sun Ergu? Killing a stranger for no reason? Did she have rabies? That's what you should say. I can't make it up. The Shisheng spread his hands. You can make one up for me. Or, you can ask the person behind you to make one up for you. Damn idiot. She dared to use a trick that she had already used once. The county magistrate's eyes narrowed. Wan Xiaoyang, don't talk nonsense here. I won't give you any more face. You murderer. Give me back my husband. Give me back my husband. Madam Sun screamed as she suddenly pounced on the Shisheng. A cold glint flashed across the Shisheng's eyes. A dagger slipped out of Madam Sun's sleeve. She held the dagger and stabbed it towards the Shisheng's chest. The Shisheng tilted his body and avoided the dagger. He lifted his leg and kicked her wrist. Madam Sun's wrist hurt, and the dagger flew out of her hand towards the county magistrate. The county magistrate was so frightened that he slid down and the dagger stabbed into the chair he was sitting on. Madam Sun didn't give up even though she had failed. She took out a packet of powder from her sleeve and threw it towards the Shisheng. While the Shisheng was dodging, Madam Sun took out a whip from her waist and lashed it towards the Shisheng. The Shisheng took out his iron sword and slashed the whip horizontally. A section of the whip immediately broke. While Madam Sun was still in shock, her vision suddenly darkened. Her body flew up uncontrollably and landed on the ground. It was only at this moment that the Yamen runners in the lobby started to move. They surrounded Madam Sun and the Shisheng. Cough cough. Madam Sun clutched her chest and spat out blood. She glared at the Shisheng murderously. The Shisheng sneered. You even know how to hire an assassin. It's not like you haven't improved. The county magistrate was completely dumbfounded. This was not in line with the script. There was no such scene in the script. The Shisheng raised his iron sword and walked towards the Madam Sun. The Madam Sun leaned back. There was a hint of panic in her eyes. This woman was different from the people she had met before. She wasn't surprised, panicked, confused, or angry at all. She was so calm and rational that she didn't seem human. Monthly votes. Monthly votes. Monthly votes. Chapter 7:12. Side task. Help Dugu ascend to the throne. The retarded system suddenly popped out. It probably knew that Shisheng was in a bad mood, so it quickly issued the task and went offline. He did not know anything. Shisheng did not stop because of the task issued by the system. He continued to walk in front of Madam Sun and stabbed her with the sword. She was so fast that the bailiffs did not have any time to react. They only reacted when she pulled out the sword. She actually killed someone in the court. The magistrate was so scared that he peed his pants. He hid under the table and trembled. But no one told him that the daughter of the Ruan family was so fierce. Was she still a lady from a noble family? The magistrate did not say anything, and these people did not dare to make a decision. They could only surround Shisheng. Shisheng shook the blood off the iron sword and looked calmly at the bailiffs surrounding her. Then, his gaze fell on the magistrate who was hiding under the table. Shisheng walked towards the magistrate. Stop her, stop her. The magistrate shouted from below. Shisheng waved the bailiffs away and pulled the magistrate out from under the table. He pressed the magistrate onto the table and placed the iron sword on his neck. Come tell me who bribed you? Damn it, there are always idiots who want to harm me. The magistrate's neck was cold, and his heart seemed to stop beating. His body trembled like a sieve and he could not speak properly. You. Who is it? Shisheng smiled faintly and increased the strength of his hand. The magistrate felt that the sharp blade had cut into his skin. His head would be separated from his neck in the next second. Thinking of this scene, the magistrate's eyes rolled back and he fainted. Shisheng. Damn it, with such courage he wanted to be a corrupt official? Serves him right to be a magistrate. Shisheng woke up the magistrate who fainted. The magistrate was so scared that he peed his pants. The smell of urine circulated in the hall. Shisheng let go of him in disgust and stepped back. I'll ask you one last time who bribed you. If you don't tell me, you'll be accompanied by her. Shisheng glanced at Madam Sun, who was already dead. I'll talk. The county magistrate fell to the ground and said in fear, It's He Qing, the eldest young master of the He family. He bribed me. He Qing. She had her suspicions before and even got someone to keep an eye on him. However, He Qing's eyes were empty and there was nothing strange about him. What is his ultimate goal? The magistrate was on the verge of tears. He only asked me to put you in jail. He didn't say anything else. I was wrong. I shouldn't have accepted his bribe. Please forgive me this time. I won't dare to do it again. The county magistrate had promised He Qing back then because He Qing had promised that as long as she went to jail, the Ruan family's assets would all belong to him. That was why he had been possessed and agreed to He Qing. Who would have known that the young miss of the Ruan family was not someone that could be compared to those noble ladies? She was so valiant that she could even threaten the officials of the imperial court. In that case, that son Earbook was killed by He Qing? I don't know. The county magistrate shook his head and said with snot and tears, When we received the report, He Qing sent me the news. He said that it was time to act. You've been in cahoots for a long time? Shisheng looked at the county magistrate. The county magistrate shivered but still nodded. He Qing had told him about this for a while. He was only in charge of sentencing. He Qing told him not to care about anything else. Very good. There was actually a retard plotting to harm her for so long. The county magistrate felt cold all over. What was very good? Shisheng came out of the yamen. Qiu Shui, who was waiting outside, immediately came forward. Young miss, are you okay? In such a short time, she had already entered the yamen twice. This time it was because of a human life. She didn't believe that her young miss would kill someone. What did her young miss not have? Why would she kill someone she didn't know? What can happen to me? Under the sunlight, the young girl's figure was elegant. It was as though she was covered in a layer of golden light. Her confidence came from her bones. She should be an extremely dazzling person. Qiu Shui didn't know why this sentence popped up in her mind. Her young miss was no longer the young miss she used to be. Let's go to the He family. Shisheng walked down the stairs and headed in the direction of the He residence. Qiu Shui shook her head and jogged to catch up with Shisheng. Why are you going to the He residence, young miss? To find someone to settle a score. Ah. Qiu Shui turned around to look at the yamen that was empty. She was confused. Why was she going to the He residence to find someone to settle a score? Was this matter related to the He residence? Qiu Shui's imagination ran wild. How could the He residence be so vicious? They actually used such a method to deal with the Ruan family. Did they think that her young miss was easy to bully just because she was a woman? The He residence's main door was tightly shut. Shisheng directly kicked it in. Qiu Shui was dumbfounded the entire time. When did her young miss become so powerful? The He residence's servants heard the commotion and quickly rushed to the main door. Shisheng had been hanging out on the streets recently. Many people in the He residence knew him. But why did Ruan Xiaoyang suddenly barge into the He residence? The He family didn't have any conflicts with the Ruan family recently. Miss Ruan, why did you barge into the He residence? The servant blocked Shisheng in front of the door. Where's He Qing? Young master? The servant was confused. Why are you looking for the young master? She even used such a violent method. Shisheng's voice was cold. Where is he? The servant who spoke also had a cold expression. Miss Ruan, don't go overboard. They had already given her a lot of face, but she didn't know when to stop. Shisheng forced his way in and met He Ting and Suyu, who had rushed over after hearing the news. The male lead had probably returned to the capital. He hadn't appeared by the female lead's side recently. Miss Ruan. He Ting stopped Shisheng. He glanced at the group of servants who were lying on the ground and wailing. Anger gradually appeared on his gentle face. Why did Miss Ruan come to the He residence to hit people? Didn't old Master Ruan teach you etiquette when he was alive? No. Shisheng lied frankly. He Ting choked. His face was stiff as he asked, What's the matter, Miss Ruan? Shisheng poked the ground with his iron sword. I'm looking for He Qing. Is this how you find people? When I looked for you before, you said that I was trespassing and sent me to the officials. Ruan Xiaoyang, aren't you trespassing now too? Suyu was a little angry. This woman had too many double standards. Go and report me. Shisheng said arrogantly. Suyu said to He Ting, second young master, report it to the officials. He Ting frowned. Then he nodded and asked someone to report it to the officials. Shisheng rolled his eyes and didn't stop that person. Where is He Qing? He Ting sized up Shisheng. Why are you looking for my elder brother? Shisheng's face was cold. Private matters. My elder brother's health isn't good. He's not receiving guests. He Ting's tone was cold. Miss Ruan, if you leave the He residence now, I won't pursue this matter. Let's not make things too ugly. Asterisk He Qing. A pervert came to find me. I'm scared. Hurry up and hide. Little fairy, give me the ticket and I'll let you hide. He Qing. Take out ticket. I'll give it to you, I'll give it to you. Hurry up and help me stop her. Little fairy, you're so scared of my daughter. TSK TSK. He Qing. Angry, it's all because of you, my stepmother. Cherub, stepmother. System notification. Little fairy has gone offline. The ticket can be retrieved from 02222. Chapter 7:13. The people from the government office didn't dare to come. After the people from the He family reported to the government office, they came back dejectedly. The government office said that they had a case to settle and didn't have time to settle the civil dispute. They asked them to settle it themselves. Shisheng had already searched the entire He family but couldn't find He Qing. He Qing wasn't even in the He family. He wasn't even in the He family. Ruan Xiaoyang, you're too much. He Ting followed behind Shisheng. As a scholar, he couldn't scold people. He could only say these words over and over again. Su'er followed behind He-ting and said a few words occasionally, but she always added flowers to the brocade and made He-ting hate Shisheng even more. Shisheng was annoyed. I'm too much? Your brother hired someone to kill I. Isn't that too much? He-ting thought he heard wrong. What did you say? I said your brother hired someone to kill me. Do you understand? Idiot. Shisheng strode out of the He family. Qiu Shui was also shocked by this sentence. After a while, she chased after Shisheng with a pale face. He-ting only regained his senses after Shisheng's figure disappeared around the corner. He looked at Su'er. She just said that my brother hired someone to kill her? I think so. Su'er nodded. She was usually with He-ting in the He family, and rarely saw this eldest young master. But she heard from the people in the He family that this eldest young master had a good temper. Because of his poor health, he rarely went out. Why would he suddenly hire someone to kill her? Or Wan Xiaoyang? Impossible. He-ting shook his head and chased after Shisheng. He didn't believe that his brother would hire someone to kill her. He-ting chased after Shisheng outside the door and blocked her way. His face was serious. Miss Wan explained clearly. Why would my brother hire someone to kill you? Shisheng touched her face. Because I'm as pretty as a flower and rich? He-ting. How could he believe such a reason? He took a deep breath and warned her seriously. Miss Wan, don't talk nonsense without solid evidence. This is a false accusation. My brother has no grudge against you. He wouldn't do such a thing. Shisheng was amused and asked, how do you know that there is no enmity between us? My eldest brother has never left the He manor, let alone have any interactions with Miss Wan. Miss Wan, why don't you tell me, what enmity could my eldest brother have with you? Shisheng said calmly, you can become enemies even if you haven't met him before. He-ting. How can you start a feud if you haven't met him before? He had never heard of such a thing. Miss Wan, your words are too far-fetched. Forgive me for not believing you. What does it have to do with me whether you believe me or not? Do I want you to believe me? Shisheng pushed him away and whispered into He-ting's ears. If there's nothing wrong with your brother, why would he run away? He-ting had seen his elder brother before, but in the blink of an eye, his elder brother had disappeared. Naturally, he still did not believe Shisheng's words. He went back and sent people to look for He-ting. But he could not find He-ting even after turning the entire He residence upside down. The people who served He-ting did not know where he went. He-ting seemed to have evaporated into thin air. Qiu Shui followed Shisheng back to the residence in a daze. Her expression was still ugly. Her voice was trembling. Miss, did He-ting really hire someone to kill you? Yes. Wasn't he hiring someone to kill her? What enmity do you have with He-ting? Qiu Shui and He-ting had the same question. Her miss had only seen He-ting once at the tea house that day and had never seen him again. What enmity could she have with He-ting? Maybe we had enmity in our previous lives. Shisheng rubbed his forehead. Get someone to prepare hot water. I want to take a bath. Also, find someone trustworthy. It must be someone who is especially trustworthy. Qiu Shui wanted to ask more, but seeing that Shisheng was tired, she nodded slightly. I'll go now. The hot water was sent over quickly. Shisheng soaked in the hot water and thought about the mission that the system had given him. Dugu Yi was the brother of the current emperor. He was 22 years old and was given the title of Lord Pingnan. However, he did not have any land and was imprisoned in the capital. The person who imprisoned him was Prince Regent Dugu Xiu. Dugu Yi was the heir to the throne. However, because of Dugu Xiu's interference, he helped the current emperor ascend the throne and Dugu Yi was only given the title of lord. In the plot, Dugu Yi was a very smart person. He had been trying to protect himself. In the end, when Dugu Xiu ascended the throne, he was still the Lord Pingnan. It was not difficult for such a person to ascend the throne. The problem was, why did the system want her to help such a person ascend the throne? It's just a mission. Don't think too much. No one wants to harm you. Is that so? Do you think I can still lie to you now? It wanted to, but could it lie to her? She seemed to have listened to what it said in the past. However, she did not listen to it at all. She did not believe it at all. You're becoming more self-aware. Shisheng nodded approvingly. This was what a qualified system should be like. It was waiting for its master to come back. Bear with it, bear with it. I said in the beginning that these planes were all destroyed. Duguxiu no longer has the right to become the emperor. The scripts I read are actually useless now, right? Ever since the battle royale, the scripts had basically become decorations. Other than the immortality of the male and female leads, the plot had changed. Although the plot had changed, the biggest change was caused by you. Don't push the blame to others. The system explained sullenly. You can say that the scripts only give you a rough understanding of this world. The characters in the scripts have already been destroyed. The plot will also change. Now there was an unknown virus in it. The plot was even more unpredictable. Thinking of that virus, the system was even more sullen. What kind of antivirus did its master install on it? It could not even catch the shadow of the virus. It could not even beat its host. What was the use of it? Shisheng nodded. You can leave now. I'm so angry that I want to cry. Master, if you don't come back soon, you may not see me again. Shisheng came out of the bath. Autumn Water was already waiting in the study with someone. Shisheng went to the study and asked Autumn Water to write a letter for him. Her handwriting was like a dog's scrawl. She could not even recognize it. After Autumn Water finished writing, she picked up the letter, blew on the ink, and handed it to Shisheng. Miss, do you think this will do? Shisheng glanced at it. Yes. She folded the letter, put it in an envelope, and handed it to the person waiting in the study. Send this letter to Master Fan. Remember, you must hand it to Master Fan personally. Miss, don't worry. I've seen Master Fan. I'll definitely deliver the letter safely. Go. Okay. After the person left, Autumn Water asked her question. Miss, why are you writing to Master Fan? Master Fan was a friend of Master Fan. He had visited twice before. Autumn Water remembered that he was a very kind person. I'm going to rebel. Cough cough. Autumn Water choked on her saliva. She quickly looked out the door and said in a low voice, Miss, don't joke around. You'll be executed. Shisheng rolled his eyes at Autumn Water. Who's joking with you? Asterisk system, Master, I've been poisoned. Your antivirus software is pirated, right? System owner. Nonsense, that's the real deal. System. Then why am I poisoned? System. Maybe the version is too low. System. Then upgrade it for me. System. Let Shisheng upgrade it for you. System. It will only destroy me. System. Chapter 714. Regarding Shisheng's intention to rebel. Qiu Shui felt that her young miss was lying. They hadn't even gone to the capital. How could they rebel? Qiu Shui repeatedly told Shisheng not to say anything. If this got out, the entire Ruan Manor would be in trouble. Qiu Shui realized that her mistress did not do anything strange after she said those words. Only then did she feel relieved. Her mistress's words had been a little crazy recently. She did not know if it was because she was frightened by the bandit kidnapping last time. Should she call a doctor for her mistress? Yes, she had to. Qiu Shui went to call the best doctor in the county. She asked the doctor to take Shisheng's pulse as a precaution. In the end, she only got a few words. Miss Ruan was in good health. There was nothing wrong with her. The more Qiu Shui thought about it, the more she felt something was wrong. Where did her mistress's sword come from? When did her mistress become so powerful? She had been serving her mistress since she was young, but she never knew she had such skills. Shisheng, who was under suspicion, was under Qiu Shui's 360-degree surveillance. She wanted to find something strange about Shisheng. However, Shisheng basically ate and slept when he had nothing to do. Otherwise, he would stay in the study. He didn't ask about the manor or the shop. Qiu Shui's gaze changed. She walked slowly to Shisheng's side. Mistress, don't ask me anything. I might not tell you even if you ask. Shisheng didn't even look up. Qiu Shui widened her eyes. How did her mistress know what she was going to ask before she asked? Well, her mistress seemed to be quite mysterious recently. Qiu Shui could only suppress her doubts and think about it in secret. Shisheng was waiting for news from Sirfan. However, the capital was too far away. It would take at least a month for him to go back and forth. By the time Shisheng received Sirfan's letter, more than a month had passed. The situation in the capital was tense. The emperor wanted to get rid of Duguxiu. The last time Duguxiu was stranded here, he was chased by the emperor. Duguxiu had returned to the capital, but he didn't have a falling out with the emperor. They didn't seem to have anything out of the ordinary, but they had secretly fought many times. Whatever Fan Xian told the Shisheng must have been irrelevant. As for Shisheng's question about Dugu Yi, Sirfan only used 4 words to answer that he had disappeared. Dugu Yi is not in the capital? Where did he go? Duguxiu actually allowed Dugu Yi to leave the capital? Or did Dugu Yi secretly leave the capital while Duguxiu was being chased by the emperor? Shisheng felt that the latter was more likely. Shisheng sighed. How am I supposed to push Dugu Yi onto the throne when the emperor is so far away? Su'er had been having a hard time recently. Ding Xiang had cried in front of the elders of the He family, saying that He Ting and Su'er were too close. Su'er had been chased out of the He family residence by the He family, and the shop had been taken back by the He family. He Ting was locked up in the residence and was not allowed to go out. Lilac proudly showed off in front of Su'er. This was not the time for her to be unlucky. The Su family actually came to find her again, saying that her sister was seriously ill, and begging her to go back and take a look. Su'er had a good impression of her sister, who was in the same situation as her. Under the Su family's cries, her heart softened and she went back. When she went back, she found that it was not her sister who was seriously ill. It was because the Su family had rented land from another landlord with the surname Li. They did not have enough manpower, so they asked her to go back. Su'er's little money was also taken away by her mother. When her sister cried again, Su'er could not bear to leave even if she wanted to. Su'er could only continue to farm at home. At this time, Shisheng had already gone to the capital alone. The prosperity of the capital was not something a small county like Baihe County could compare to. She could be said to be the richest person in Baihe County, but when she came to the capital, she found that she was actually still a peasant. Eating Earthsheng found an inn to stay in, and at the same time he inquired about gossip. Inns, restaurants, and tea houses were always the best places to listen to gossip. I heard that the Prince Regent is going to marry the Northern General's daughter. Is it true? Shisheng supported his chin with his hand as he listened to the 2 people next door talk. His expression was a bit strange. Duguxiu was going to marry a concubine? He did not want the female lead anymore? Why not? I have a relative working in the general's residence. I heard that the betrothal gifts are going to be sent soon. Is it true? Who is he marrying? I think it's the eldest daughter of the general's residence. Why not the second daughter? There were 2 daughters in the northern general's residence. The eldest daughter was not as famous as the second daughter, but it was said that the eldest daughter had a good temper. As for the specifics, they as commoners did not know. That person lowered his voice and said, "The second daughter is going to enter the palace. Don't go out and talk about this. If people know then." I know. Don't you know what kind of person I am? Let's just talk about it. But entering the palace? The northern general has a good idea. One will marry the Prince Regent, and the other will enter the palace. When the time comes. Sure enough, a few days later, the news of the Prince Regent sending betrothal gifts to the northern general's residence spread widely. When the betrothal gifts were sent, Shisheng even went to watch. It was a big scene. Just as Duguxiu entered the residence, the emperor's imperial edict arrived. It was an imperial edict announcing that the second daughter of the general's residence would enter the palace as a concubine. The emperor's people and the Prince Regent's people blocked the entrance. No one wanted to give way to the other. In the end, it was the general of the Northern Army who came out to smooth things over. The wedding was set for half a month later. The emperor and the Prince Regent probably had a confrontation. The wedding was set on the same day. This matter became the topic of conversation after dinner. Shisheng went out of the inn and prepared to go to the palace to see what the emperor looked like. The emperor was the biggest villain, so maybe it would be Feng Xiai? Just as Shisheng was approaching the palace, He saw a familiar figure from the corner of his eye. But when he looked carefully, he did not see it. Shisheng frowned and chased in that direction. Shisheng chased for a while and stopped. He touched his chin. Did he see wrongly? Miss Ruan. Shisheng looked up at the source of the voice. Du Guxiu came down from a nearby restaurant with 2 people. Du Guxiu was wearing a black brocade robe. He had long and narrow eyebrows, sharp and wise eyes, and thin lips. He did not hide the aura of a superior. An invisible pressure was emitted from his body. Prince Regent, Shisheng said with a smile. His attitude was very casual. He was not scared by the aura of the Prince Regent at all. Du Guxiu frowned slightly. Why is Miss Ruan here? She knew that he was the Prince Regent. When he was in Baihe County, he did not expose his identity. Du Guxiu did not know how long she had been in the capital, so he was not sure if she knew after she came to the capital. So he did not ask. Why can't I be here? You speak as if you own the capital. Impudent. Du Guxiu's people shouted and glared at Shisheng. You're tuning into the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.